All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for Tattoo Collecting 101, episode 121, right here on Guy Atchison's Reinventing the Tattoo platform. A community for tattooers, apprentices, and collectors, and all those curious about the world of tattooing. And we encourage everyone to join these live streams and real world events. We aim to educate and inspire one another to create better art, tattoos, and to leave this community a better place than how we found it. We stream out most days of the week, so be sure to check out the full schedule of events we have, as well as our professional development courses from over 20 world-class artists at reinventingthetattoo.com. You can also find these shows on our Roku channel, as well as your favorite podcast platforms. So just search for Reinventing the Tattoo and you'll find us there. And real quick, we just want to say thank you to our sponsors who make this network possible. So thank you to World Tattoo Events, which has the largest, most comprehensive list of tattoo events going on in the world right now. Tattoo Now, technology for tattooers. They're the leading edge in professional development, management, and CRM tools for tattooers of all levels, as well as our affiliates at the Fireside Tattoo Network and the Apprenticeship Diaries. And also, we just want to say thank you to Guy Atchison, who's the founder and inspiration of the community. You can go to guyatchison.com to get your copy of the Biomech Encyclopedia, instructional DVDs, original paintings, and custom coil machines. And if you like all the knowledge we're putting out, be sure to share it with a friend and watch another video. So, on to the show today.
Wow, Kyle, that was almost like you got the whole thing there.
Yeah, almost.
I'm proud of you. Good work.
Thanks.
So we got Dan Wesley back with us again tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Wesley.
Glad to be here.
Always a
Again.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. One of the few people that have remained in my life for this long.
You too.
And I can always have a conversation with.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy on how life just goes.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're like telling it. Like, I find it funny when I tell a story about like when I'm 24 and like I had, which was ages ago. And I had like this core group of like 6 friends, but we were fucking bros.
Right.
Like tight as fuck for, I don't know, 5, 8, maybe 10 years. And dude, I haven't seen nary a one of those motherfuckers since I was probably 31, like
Wow.
22 years ago.
Wow.
And it's like in the moment you think like, this is my crew. And it's nothing like there was no falling out or anything.
Nope.
It's just
Slowly but surely.
the way it fucking goes. And then the pandemic, I think, made things even more crazy. Like I had bros, current people, like especially who are like in the triathlon and like hobbies of mine that you would think, oh, that solidifies it. And all of a sudden you can't see somebody for fucking, you know.
Once you change your habits, it makes it so much easier to not participate in stuff like that. That's kind of what happened with jiu-jitsu. Once you get out of the habit of not going 3 times a week or whatever, meeting your buddy at the gym 3 times a week, 3 mornings we're riding, whatever it is, you're building that necessity of time, right? So then you take that activity away, you fill that time somewhere else, and that void just kind of gets swallowed up.
Yep.
Like, and it's the same with the people that you know. Oh no, we trained together for years. We're besties. Call me if you need a fucking thing, and you don't see him for 2-3 years. Your kid's how old now? Type of thing. Yeah. Happens all the time.
Yeah, no, but I'd say you're probably like one of 5 people that it could be. I might see you every week for fucking 3 months and then not see you for 12 months.
Right.
But it feels like,
yeah,
I saw you last week and you just pick up and like, and then it repeats and it repeats. And
I think we've been carrying the same conversation because that's how it feels. Like you get right back into that. Like, oh, so you remember that? Let me tack on to that.
Right,
story.
right.
It's always a good time.
Yeah,
always a good time.
We're glad to be back here.
Oh, dude, always.
Thank you, boys.
It's just nice to, especially with Fawn's on the road to Detroit. She's headed out to the convention out there, so having a familiar face and easy ear to bend makes this a lot simpler than me sitting here trying to talk to Kyle. I love you, Kyle.
No, I completely agree.
We talk about stuff for like 7 minutes, and I'm like, so what's next? Not that I don't love you.
The Kyle and Ben show only goes so far.
Yeah, our fake hate is kind of what carries it. And once I feel like I'm being a dick, it's kind of over. So you got about 7 minutes of that.
Well, I'm glad it only lasts 7 minutes.
I felt bad the first time, but it's a stick. We got to stick with it.
We're glad to be here and take the heat off Kyle.
There you go.
'Cause we're well, it's 6:06.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
All right.
so there's our timer.
We're done with Kyle. Shut the fuck up. No. So what's new? What's been popping? Last time you were on, you were talking about getting back into the saddle and
Yeah, no, things are good. Nice and busy.
good.
Um,
Been checking the patches coming out lately, dude. You've definitely nailed down that fucking style.
thank
It
you.
is amazing. The taco glitter patch has probably been my favorite this far. Like
That was a super fun one.
that was a really cool way to pull that detail out and still keep it inside both of your wheelhouses.
Right.
Like you what the fuck, Kyle? Oh man, if we paid you money, you would have just got a raise.
Dude. Fucking on it.
My man.
So
yeah.
I've been trying to step it up. I got you.
So Wes does a lot of these glitter style tattoos as well. And again, like one of the few people I see that do it right. Because it's such a unique style and such a hard detail to pull out that most people oversaturate it.
Right.
They'll put too much white in there, they'll put too much of one color, and it kind of
Yeah.
mops the whole thing up in my mind.
And there's still a learning curve I have for it, but we're getting better. Like I definitely feel like I have, for me, cracked the code on the patches. Like
Right.
now I have a system. The
There's
glitter, I'm close, but I'm still like, I feel like I'm missing something to take it to the next, to take it to a level that I can like walk away and be like, that's the
Well,
best I got.
with it being such a new style as well, you still need to see one in 5 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about a lot of things. Most tattoo styles. I'm like, where's that gonna be in 5 years?
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, so when I'm thinking like, so the patch tattoos are going to be there.
Yeah,
Like,
no, solid outline,
I've
but they're-
definitely debunked the whole, what's it going to look like? I've seen patches that I did a year and a half, 2 years ago. They're just as bright as when they healed,
Right.
in the 2-week time frame. And I'm like, and kind of when I say the science, like
They're essentially a traditional tattoo.
it's right. And the way I do it, there's shading, there's line work, like they're going to last forever. The glitter though, and I get what people are saying, especially like the white highlights, that I'm trying to forecast ahead of time when I do them as well. They might not look glitter, but will they still look super cool with some super cool texture?
Right.
Because that's a win.
Right.
I mean, again, and I say this not putting myself on the plane of the biomech wizards,
Right.
like the Guy Atchisons or whatever, but it's like
It's the same concept.
right. 20 years ago, he didn't know what, oh, I'm gonna do this background with all reds, oranges, and yellows
Right.
to offset the fucking biomech with the earth tones or whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, maybe they need a little touched up, but you start seeing him now reworking things that are 20 years old. The shit
That
fucking
still looks
aged
solid as
pretty
fuck.
fucking well for a 20-year tattoo. So I'm trying to like preemptively go like that taco.
Mhm.
It might not look uber glittery in 5 years, but is it going to look like a textured taco shell?
Right.
I'm confident that it will.
Right.
So it still pulls off a good tattoo.
Hey, I'm with you, man. I think we got away from that time test a lot with a lot of these newer styles, with a lot of the like, well, fuck, let's take it back 10 years when watercolors were the rainbow watercolor fade was what everybody wanted. And now you walk around and these people got these like weird patches of blue and like this off patch of orange somewhere on their arm. And you're just like, the fuck did that used to be? And they'll show you the picture and you're like, oh my God, where'd that go?
Yep.
like where did that go?
Well, and that goes to then, do you understand the craft of tattooing? Because if you were doing watercolor, and let's say you're going to do blue watercolor, so you start with your dark blue and maybe you work to a lighter blue, and then you start treating it like wash.
Right.
So truly watercolor, you're watering down your blue to get this. That's the wrong tone. And I'll tell you, I would bet my life on it that David Boggan's watercolor still holds up,
Right.
because he understood the craft.
Yep.
I'm going to go dark blue, and then I'm going to cut it with white, and then I'm going to cut that color with white.
Yep.
And everything's saturated, actual 100% pigment.
Not.
It just has the appearance of
Yes.
watercolor, but it hasn't been washed out with water.
Right.
So you can't tweak and play with these new trends unless you know the foundational principles of what work
Mm-hmm.
to sustain some longevity.
Right.
And so I hope with my glitter tattoos that my previous 20 plus years, at the very least, cool, maybe it's not uber glittery, but the texture's there and it just still looks fucking cool.
And it's been for a long time. I don't want to say assumed, but standard practice that if you get yellows to whites, that shit needs touched up in 5-6 years. Like it's not it's like UV ink.
Right.
Everybody expects it to have a little bit of less of a shelf life. But as far as we've come in ink, I now see white tattoos.
Yeah.
That was never even a fucking possibility. What, 5-6 years ago?
Yeah.
7-8 years ago, because they do that white and then it would be yellow and then it would be that weird skin tone orangey brown.
Oh, and to heal eggshell.
Right.
2 weeks later, you have eggshell
Right.
highlights.
And it's like, so it's all I think it has a lot to do with like the difference in equipment and a difference in how far the science of pigments and stuff like that has
100%.
come.
Yep.
In comparison to mixing the 3 tones you've used for the past 30 years.
Yep.
But no, it's insane to me to watch the advancement of this stuff.
No, it's
see
crazy.
what falls off, see what sticks around.
Yeah. And we'll find out, in 3-5 years.
Right.
Let's see.
What do you think is the next big thing we're gonna see everywhere?
Jesus, dude.
I don't keep up, man. I don't pay attention.
I know, dude. I don't. It's sad to say I don't either, because I'm like so focused in my little universe of just trying to be
Right.
good and be relevant now that it's hard to predict. Like I'm just, my handful of styles, I'm just trying to
Be the best at that.
yeah, like these young whippersnappers are coming up. I'm like, I gotta, like, every morning it's literally I'm waking up like, dude, you gotta fucking get drawing, motherfucker. Like,
Well,
you're gonna be irrelevant with no clients unless you like
it's
fucking
it's the
grind.
same point. Think of the market 10 years ago compared to now. I mean, it wasn't commonplace to run into another fully sleeved person, let's say at the convenience store,
Right.
habitually.
Yep.
It's every 4th person you see now.
It's crazy. So it's funny, kind of on that note. So in my newsletter, or might even be going out today, I did a little blog post about the evolution of females getting tattooed.
Was that your last West Talk thing?
It literally, it's coming out.
Oh, okay.
I think it's getting
the
launched.
next one.
Yeah.
So
And so I just discussed I kind of primarily discussed like the black and gray
Mhm.
tattoos, but in generally speaking, kind of like talking about that evolution of, somebody sleeved 20 years ago.
Right.
I couldn't go to Home Depot or fucking Lowe's without pestered's the wrong word, because it sounds
bro, that's sweet. Let me check.
right.
that out.
But
They're
after
not-
a while, you're just like, man, can I go to Lowe's and
Just-
not
you know why I wear long sleeves all the time?
right? But now it's so common, so
Right.
I don't get those questions.
Right.
And I miss them. My ego does.
I still catch it from time to time, just
No, I
being,
do.
as,
Yeah.
being as saturated as we are.
Yeah. The hands,
if
the
I've got it,
knuckles, the
right.
whole massive.
If I've
mess.
got on shorts and a tank top, I'll still field questions,
Sure.
if you will.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's the best way to put it. I'm not mad at them for asking.
No.
It has a lot to do with the approach.
yep.
So meh.
But one thing so kind of sticking with this topic is like 20 years ago, 80% of my clients were dudes, 20% were females. The females definitely, it was the tramp stamp, or, I can recall like that show with Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton. And I think one of them, and I think it was Nicole Richie, had like this, the Catholic, the rosary.
Yes.
Wrapped around the ankle with the cross on the
Oh
foot.
my God.
So
Yes.
it was super trendy stuff. It was typically, not always, but typically small, dainty stuff.
Right.
And
Black and
now
gray.
it's like 75% of my clientele are women. If I have 50 big projects in the works right now, I bet 35 to 40 of them are females.
Wow.
Like, it's cool to, so now it's not just, as you're saying, like 1 of 4 have sleeves, and 50% of those 1 of 4 are fucking women.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Of all crosses of life, like,
Yep.
stay-at-home moms to nurses to fucking hedge fund brokers. Like, they have just been like, fuck you dudes, tattoos are rad and we want in on this.
Yeah. And think of all the feminine expression in art, and a lot of the quality in that fine touch of fine art is now applicable to tattoos.
Yep.
So the availability of imagery has changed to where now they're like, oh shit, I don't have to get a pirate ship.
Right. Or a Black Panther or
Right.
fucking Street
Never
Eagle,
wanted an
American
eagle.
flag.
But that's that's the pattern tattoo was in for a long time, because that's how we originated. It was flash on the wall.
Yep.
So like now with the availability of the full color spectrum, no, you don't have to mix that shit. You want that same raspberry red next time, I pull out my raspberry red and I'll drop that back out.
Yep.
So like it's the I don't want to say the skill of color mixing is gone or anything along those lines, because you still have to do that work. You still have to do that gradient. You still have to put the fucking tattoo in this.
Right.
Game. But in comparison, the availability to be able to do that is insane.
Right. Well, I also think then you start factoring in, 20 years ago, I could probably name literally nationally 3 female tattooers.
Right.
Columbus.
Now they take it over.
Columbus, you can swing a sock on a fucking city block and hit fucking 3 awesome female tattooers.
And we
So
have
you get-
several female only shops now.
Yeah.
Like several.
Oh, and the fucking that one, what is it, Lost Moon or whatever, with fucking Rat Cult and
Nicole.
dude.
Yep. They're killing it.
Fuck you for, man.
Yeah.
You put so much anxiety in me. You are so fucking good.
Oh.
Like,
Well, those are all people that came through Greystone.
yeah.
So it's
and
like
they're and
No,
are any of them
think-
even
think about that for a half a second, bro.
right?
Those are your great grandkids.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Richard Cook. I know, dude. And I'm just
I'm not
like,
saying Rich made them who they are. They're all a phenomenal
Yeah, but
standalone
no,
artists.
I know.
But in the realm of lineage,
I know. It's fucked up. And I just look at all 4 of them and I'm like,
you should go into the shop one day and be like, "I'm your grandpa. Where's my chair?"
call me Tatty
Call me
Pappy. Yeah, no, I
I'd
mean,
let that happen.
yeah, those, dude, they're on my bucket list to get tattooed from.
Right.
So it's just super cool because you've got that then powering women getting tattooed. And I can't speak for every tattooer, but if I had a flower tattoo to do every single day as one of my tattoos, I'd fucking wake up with a smile every fucking day. I love tattooing flowers.
Right. I have more flower tattoos than anything else.
They're so fucking cool.
Like, I have more flower tattoos than anything
Dude,
else.
you can do them anything. You can do them biomech to fucking stipple shading,
Right.
and everything in between. You can make a dope ass flower. Fucking
Well,
tattoo.
there's availability of color, size, shape. They're great for cover-ups.
Yeah.
They hold.
Yeah.
Like, I'm with you. I like flowers too.
Like, it kills me when I'm like talking to a dude about cover ups. I'm like, dude, we could do an awesome chrysanthemum What's chrysanthemum? Oh, it's this cool Japanese flower. Oh man, I don't want flowers. I'm like, fuck yes, you want flowers. This is a badass looking
go.
tattoo.
Just go. You don't even. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you don't even know. I offered you greatness.
You're missing out.
Yeah. Like fucking run it, bud.
So let's talk about you beginning tattooing. I'm
Oh
curious.
shit. Well, we've been jawing about doing snail tattoos on this show for probably a year now.
All right.
So I finally made the extra step to gather and acquire the tools of the trade, if you will.
Yep.
So I'm sitting at home with some fake skin and tracing paper and old school transfer papers.
Nice. So Mike, I went to show one of the guys at work a couple weeks ago how to whip shade.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, I was like, you got some fake skin. He's like, yeah. And I was like, cool. So that was the first time I ever used it.
It's not quite the same.
No,
It's you got to push.
well, including when you wipe it, it just smears and stains the fake skin. Like I was like, and that's what it
Was supposed to look like.
supposed to, what am I doing here? So how
I-
does that work when you're trying to teach yourself and you get these big smears?
I
Like, you have to
clean it with Glide.
glide
Yeah. I just take my Glide, wipe it right the fuck off.
and it cleans off.
Wipes it right off.
Okay. Question answered.
I either do that or then when I'm done, I'll take alcohol
Okay.
because you're not burning anybody's skin. Or
Yeah,
something.
'cause we
But-
were scrubbing it with alcohol so I could kind of show
Right,
him like this is
right.
what whip shade's
But you're
supposed to look
pulling the ink back out of the hole. Those holes aren't closing like a skin. It's
Right.
staying open. So as soon as you wipe it, you're pulling the ink you just put back in it. So you just have to let it like set for a minute
like. Gotcha.
and let that ink kind of settle for a sec, and then wipe the top of it.
Yeah.
But the Glide's been working the best for me, like while trying to manipulate the fake skin.
Are
Because
you using coil machines or are you using rotary pens?
I'm using a pen for now. I do want to learn coils, absolutely. It's just harder to set that up on a whim by yourself
Sure.
in your kitchen. I'm not trying to do this for a living, trying to do it for fun. I wouldn't mind doing a handful of tattoos, don't get me wrong, but I no way, shape, or form ever see myself being like a tattoo artist.
If you want to volunteer for one of Ben's tattoos, put it in the comments.
Comment. Actually, we got an email from a guy the last time we talked about this. I saved your information. I just didn't want to suck. So I'm getting it down, bud. I've got your contacts at home. You can't be first, but I think you can be number two. But yeah, like the people that want free tattoos, there's never been a shortage.
No.
So I think a couple posts and I can get some skin.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm not scared as much of the skin because I did how do I say this legally? I did non-laser tattoo removal through
Right.
a big company that was basically tattoo equipment modified to wash over a solution over your new opened skin.
Right.
Whew, that's a good way to say that without getting sued.
So good. I'm confused, but I happen to know what you were talking about.
So essentially, it's a solution that flows over top of your needles as you open the skin. You're not tattooing the liquid in as you would with a ink. You're not dipping and ripping.
Yep.
It's on a syringe pump and it's continually flowing. So you're opening the skin as it's flowing, and then you're moving on to the next
Gotcha.
one. So I'm not tattooing the solution in. I'm opening skin for the solution to go into. At least that's what they say. That's what the fucking brochure reads. I'm not a scientist, but we don't do it now for a reason, and that was on it. So I've had the walkthrough on how to stretch skin. I've had the walkthrough on depth, and I've had to open skin and manipulate. And I've done the bloodborne. I've done I apprenticed at BL. I
Yep.
had to do all that stuff forever ago. So just getting it all back up and running. Fantastic.
What's up, guys?
It's been fun.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. We just I've been listening
Yes.
into you guys for the last few minutes, talking about tattooing fake skin.
Snail trail. Snail trail.
But yeah, we're up here in Detroit. We just got unloaded in record time, and we are waiting on Brian to come back down after like getting checked into our rooms. So
Sweet.
Nice.
So I see Pipe and Drape's already up.
you know it.
So they went to a convention a while back, and that wasn't ready, and it's become a staple for how ready are they?
How not to rate your show.
Right.
Gotta at least have pipe and drape. That's step one. You can't
with-
sell a booth if you don't have a booth to sell.
We'll sell you a space. Do you want a space?
You guys want to go walk around the I guess ballroom with me? See what's
Yeah.
going on?
Yes, please.
Give us a view.
Usually I'm rolling in, or we're rolling in late and like joining the show all late and frantic. But today I think we I don't know, we got in the U-Haul, we got here in a decent amount of time. And I can share with you guys what's going on.
So what facility are you at in Detroit?
We are at the
Look at True
GM
Transparency.
Renaissance Center.
Okay.
Yeah, Jess and Brian, as soon as we got here, they brought the banners out to let everybody know we're here. I love this building though. I'll walk out to the main area and show you guys, but it's kind of like in an offset of like these circles that overlap one another. So like you can't get to floor 2 from floor 3. You can only get to floor 4 from floor 3. So
I've heard about that at that show, but I've heard it adds to the fun.
It does. I think one of the things I actually like about this building is once you understand like the traffic flow, I feel like there can just be thousands of people in here, and it doesn't seem like there are thousands of people in this building. So it's kind of
That's
cool.
rad.
But this is, I don't know, the Motor City show is one of my favorites. I feel like this is probably one of the ones that I talk about the most, like Hell City and then Motor City. But these are the shows that I've been coming to since years before I, was like involved with anything.
Well, I'll have to put Motor City on my list for next year. James.
It's only a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
Be right.
Brian.
Got Mr. Midkiff on the scene.
Who would have thought he would have shown up in a toboggan and gym shorts?
Always. It's like his uniform.
I'm impressed with the number of people that are already set up.
Yeah, I mean, everybody gets here early. Most of the people at this show have been working this show for years. That's kind of one of the cool things about it. So, everybody kind of knows the layout and the routine. And as an attendee, you kind of know what to expect. This is, I don't know, in my opinion, probably the most important show that happens in Michigan. I don't know, some of my favorite artists that I've kind of like come up in the tattoo community watching and trying to steal tricks from. The first time I got to see them or meet them was here at this show.
Nice.
The first time I met Russ Abbott was here in Detroit.
I remember the first time going to Hell City and being like, wait, there's more than like the 12 people I know in Columbus that do this.
Right.
Oh
And
yeah.
this room is stacked. Like, I'm still kind of at awe at how big the industry in whole is, because I've always just been the local dude that hung out with the local dudes, and I've always just I got a homies only policy, like, so it's
Just so happens like your homies are all like super rad and not normal.
I did get real lucky that Wes brought up a fucking squad of monsters.
Just as I started listening in before I joined in, I was just trying to like get all of my equipment and stuff together and get my headphones situated and everything. And were you calling him the tattoo grandfather?
Grandpappy. Tatty
Grandpappy. Grandpappy of all these little tatter tots.
Well, it's we talk about lineage all the time, and it's, if you take, he was talking about, I'm sorry, I'm going to say their name wrong. What's the Moon Studio?
I think it's Last Moon.
That Nicole and
Samantha and
Sam
Mhm.
and then
Brett Call, all them. What's the name of that studio, Fawn? I'm asking you.
Oh, I can't remember. I
think
smoked
it's
a lot of
Lost
weed today.
Moon.
Lost
That
Moon.
sounds-
It's something
that
Moon, and I'm
sounds
sorry,
correct.
ladies, if I'm getting it wrong. I love you
I think
all.
so. Yeah.
But like how all those, the majority of that staff worked at Greystone
Mhm.
at one point, and Greystone is started by Rich, who came through body language. So Wes is their tattoo grandpa, if not great grandpa.
Would that
So
be
we're
a
gonna-
cat
great.
paw?
We're gonna go in there and be like, call him Tatty Pappy. Make him, get him
I
a
like that.
chair and bring this man coffee and water. He always gets a seat at your table. Or whatever you're supposed to do in that situation. I don't know the rules. I feel like that's appropriate.
I don't know. If you're the like grandpappy, it means that every time you walk in the room, they should put your favorite music on. I try to do that for Marty.
That's true too. Marty shows
Yeah.
up and Fawn's like,
Marty shows up, whatever's on. I
Pink
usually put it on
Floyd.
like Pink
I was
Floyd
gonna say,
radio or
is it
Robin
Pink
Trower's
Floyd?
is their favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we all get down with Pink Floyd, but look at
well,
this.
it's a station. It's not just like Pink
Yeah,
Floyd
no,
tells
but
you,
Pink Floyd radio, that's cool. Yeah, I wondered what he listened to.
Oh, dude,
Let's go get into
constant.
some better lighting. Just ran into Mr. Torres.
What's going on, Todd? You can't hear me. I'm talking to Fawn and you don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do have the headphones on.
I know. You coming up this weekend or what? No?
No, I got my kid this weekend.
Bring
I
it
got my
up.
kid every weekend, but
I
Yeah.
know, man. You should come.
I
The
would
intern's
if I
coming.
could.
Right, Kyle? Are you coming up?
I'm coming up. Yes.
Fuck Kyle.
Be nice to
Jordan?
the intern.
I'm always nice to
Jordan will
you.
be here
He
tomorrow
doesn't
too.
have his 7 minutes
I
yet.
figured he would be because of
Oh, being a Michigander, I assumed he would.
girlfriend, man.
Yep, Jordan will be here. I think I just said tomorrow, but he said he'll be up Saturday.
Brandon's
alright.
coming up Sunday too.
Nice. This is one of those shows that it just so happens the Cleveland show is going on at the same time this weekend.
Well,
Not
that's what I was thinking. If I was gonna skittle off, I thought I was gonna go to Cleveland. Denny's up there. And I haven't seen Denny in a while. It'd be cool to connect with him. And I figured maybe I could snap some photos there, but I don't think I'm going anywhere.
Got Mike and
Nice.
Bob over here
I can
getting
buy.
settled in.
It's only for 3 shows. That's bird in the hand?
How's it going, brother?
Bird in the hand.
Burning hand.
You said 1981. Let me get a real look at it.
First Richmond convention. I was there and I tattooed my hand. Jack Rudy said it wouldn't stay. I waited
Palm
back.
tattoos won't stick around.
But I could tell when I got
Yeah,
to me and then I took it a little further, but I took the machine straight in and out, in and out. Walking on dynamite. Friend of
No,
mine
they're hard, man.
gave an
They're harder
off-duty
than
cop the
normally.
finger. Motherfucker. I'm sure he got obnoxious with the cop, so the cop locked him the fuck up. I went home, I got this brainstorm like, I can wave now, that's Bob G. Jester.
I love it.
No.
Bob's one of those guys. He talks, and I'm like,
are
I
ya?
instantly get quiet.
You're intimidating everybody. They stopped talking when I walked up here.
I didn't mean to.
What's going on?
We're doing our tattoo collecting 101, just kind of giving a little preview of what's going to be going on this weekend.
Good
I'll
times.
be getting footage on the good camera all weekend as well to share next week. So
We're gonna have a double convention to go over next week. So we've got
I'm trying to say it.
Who's he?
Pittsburgh to do too.
yeah, we got
Close these, you know,
Pittsburgh
for-
still, we got
Oh, I
Detroit
already drink
now.
anymore, but I'll-
Yeah, we got some catching up. Got all
If
kinds of
anybody's gonna
footage
go
to
to
cover.
Cleveland, I'm gonna try to gather some shots from that too. Maybe
I,
maybe we'll just do
last
convention
drink I
review
had-
next show.
That's a good idea, actually.
Last drink I had-
We'll have 2 under our belt that we can kind of talk about and compare.
That's a half a
Um,
show right there.
Yeah, I know this is gonna be a good show because it's a good show every year, but the Pittsburgh show there was some outstanding tattoo work that happened. So I'm
Pittsburgh
really
was
looking forward to
insane.
talking about it. And then we just did Philly a few weeks before that, so we just kind of feel like we're just like back in go mode. So
We've got a ton of footage from Pittsburgh.
Feel it full in here.
Yeah, that's what he said. Gil was
Yeah,
like,
the Philly show was really good.
Yeah, I didn't make it to Philly, but I guess you guys were like 30 feet apart.
Yeah, literally like 5 booths away.
I wonder if they just section all the people demographically. Like, hey,
You
all
know-
you Ohio fucks, this is your corner.
Yeah, I know Joey is tight with
Everyone.
everyone, but in particular Uncle Maddie's tattoo supply.
Gotcha.
So they always put all of his booths with
Saturday.
Uncle Maddie, and then Uncle Maddie's like tied in with Big Me's. So we kind of
Nice.
had like an entire row that was
Hell yeah.
all kind of collectively tied in.
He does that for Columbus too. He does that for Hell City, and I love the giant solid front, like Ohio. Here we are, right as soon as you walk in, like.
So I'm stoked about Hell City because last year
That's when I.
Joey wanted to be fair and kind of rotated artists through every day. And so this year they decided we're just going to have 2 designated artists. So
Nice.
luckily of the 7, 1 is me. So me and
Nice.
Dustin will be holding down the fort at Hell City all 3 days.
That's
Yeah.
all 3 days.
Yeah, I'm fucking
Oh,
pumped, dude.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
fucking pumped.
Well, you know, I'll be there, man. Let's get it on.
Because I've never done Hell City for, I mean, that would last year was the first time I ever did Hell City.
No way.
Yeah. And just one day, and it was fucking awesome.
Right.
And now I'm like, fuck yeah, my hometown.
Day 3, I'll drop off juice for you.
I get to sleep in my own bed
Right.
at night,
Right.
you know, just drive home, hang with the wife and dogs, and then come back and fucking slay tats. So I'm
Yeah.
fucking pumped.
It's my favorite because of that reason.
Dude. It was so fun though last year, man. We were just fucking we just rocked for fucking 12 straight hours.
It is endless foot traffic.
It's nuts.
Endless.
Like the only other tattoo convention that is similar to Hell City is Philadelphia.
Right.
And that was Philadelphia Eddie's tattoo convention that then Troy Temple took over, and it's been going on for 25, 30 years or
Right.
whatever it is. That it's like, I mean, every other convention other than Hell City and Philadelphia.
It's measuring to those.
Yeah. And they're good. You just, I mean, it just takes longevity
Right.
and just time. And
Detroit's
time
up there
and
too.
time.
What's
No, Detroit Motor City. And I've been there. I haven't tattooed there.
Gotcha.
But yes, you're correct.
Well, I
There's
think
probably 5 or 6 that are of that
for sure.
upper echelon.
I was just think
category.
they did 25, 26 years as well.
Yeah,
like-
they've got to be.
That's insane to me.
Yeah. Because I mean, that was definitely around when I first started
Right.
tattooing. Like it kind of emerged as like, boom, this
Well,
one.
Talk about the tattoo industry. Look at the conventions. We talked about how readily available good tattoo artists are now, how there's shops all over the place, all these things. But remember when there was only 5 conventions?
Go, yeah.
You know what I mean? And now there's one in every city every weekend,
Yep.
double booked East and West Coast. Like,
And I would say for anybody listening, because this is, you know, for the collector.
right.
I mean, if you haven't been to a tattoo convention, I don't care what city you live in that you're listening to this, go to
Oh.
the convention because it's so much more than just. So I get this question a lot because people are in so many, I mean, the bulk of the people are in normal jobs.
Right.
So if you go to an insurance convention, they're not slinging insurance. If you go to an asthma allergy convention, they're not slinging asthma
Asthma meds.
allergy. Like it's all professionals, and it's about learning and continuing education and stuff like that. And so lots of times people are like, oh, so what do you learn or what are you doing? I'm like, no, like I'm tattooing. Like so
Right.
many people don't know what tattoo convention is.
You get tattooed.
You get tattooed. So for anybody listening, tattoo conventions, if you find out one's in town, is not for us, the tattooers, to professionally expand. It's for you to come and get tattooed
right.
and see an amazing assortment of tattooers.
The
Every single style. And
Yeah.
most of these have, they
leader
know,
in their field.
yep.
Yep.
And they know that they need to keep you entertained. So there's freak shows, you know, the classic carny freak shows of sword swallowing, fire breathing. There's usually some form of body piercing suspension act. Like the eye candy and entertainment is nonstop.
Yeah.
All 3 days. So if there's a tattoo convention in your area, especially if you're here in Columbus listening to this, fucking
Go.
go to Hell City because it's one of the best in the fucking world. You are gonna have a blast.
It's so designed to make you immersed that it's almost overwhelming for me.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I can never spend enough time there, but I get real people weird. So like after an hour of being in like I got to go decompress for a minute. So like I just want to stand at the booth and stare at the art. The availability of different styles of art and personal touches and nuances of how everyone does their style a little bit different. You can see one cool thing that like
Books, t-shirts, prints to buy to hang on your wall. I mean, it's endless.
right.
And I always tell my clients about Hell City. And I also always, because so many of my clients are a little bit older because I am, that I'm like, you got kids. I think one of the most brilliant things Derb ever did was Hex City.
Yep.
Make it family friendly.
Yeah, right.
You don't need to get a babysitter. Bring the kids. There's something for them to do there.
I don't think he still does Hex City as it used to be, but what he's done is incorporated everything around for kids as well. So the cutouts are still there. It is an all ages show. We intentionally refrain from playing heavily swearing music. Not that the music explicit. Thanks. Not that what we play is soft by any means or lacking, but like we're not gonna play a song that every third word is fuck,
Right.
because it's blasted across the entire hotel.
Right.
But like there is an environment that like my daughter came for the past every show available to go to since she's been born.
Yeah.
Like
no, it's
walk through, check it out. There's always something to see.
yeah. Yeah. And if you just want to get your adult on, get a fucking room and go to a tattoo convention and fucking party your ass off,
Right.
get tattooed and just have an adult weekend blast as well.
Your time. Kyle's over here moving things and being all wily. I until staying at Phoenix, because until I've only worked Phoenix 2 years, and I've worked Columbus for probably 10, but started like a couple hours at the door to get in for free. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like hey, my buddy does this thing, come check it out, you'll get a free ticket type thing. So being fully immersed in that I can't leave the party environment, like you get to know those fuckers real fast. On day 2 and day 3, you already know who you're going to smoke with. You've got your hangout partners that aren't from your crew. You've settled into like the convention vibe and family that's there.
Yep.
You know, and it's weird. And Hell City is such a family reunion that it's the only time I see a lot of those people. I'm not in the industry. I'm not a man of the world, if you will. I stay in my little hole and I do this show. That's about my touch in the community. I hang
but
out
it's
with
a
my
big
people.
touch, Ben.
Well, thanks, Fawn. But I'm just saying, like, I don't until doing the show, I haven't really gone out of my way to go to another convention. I get my fill. You know, like so it's weird to be able to have that like built-in group when you go, like from all over the US. It's nuts.
And I will say, because I've gone to some conventions specifically to get tattooed. So if you're a tattoo collector, it's a completely unique experience. Like getting tattooed at a convention is not like getting tattooed at a shop. So if you kind of, you know, if you're a tattoo collector and just kind of that's one of your hobbies, you just appreciate getting tattooed and like having tattoos, treat yourself and go to a convention because
you got access to some shit.
It's another cool experience,
Right.
man. Like it's fucking rad. Like it's sensory overload,
Right.
You know,
It's
there's
such an electric
so,
environment.
especially the good ones. There's so much commotion. There's, you know, you got the music, you got fucking booths, you know, 10 by 10s next to each other. There's just something electric about it.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
that you
it's-
can't mimic in a shop.
It's anytime you get that many like-minded people focused on the same thing.
Right.
That's what makes hockey games rad. That's what makes everything that we get together and do as a group.
Yep.
That's what makes it rad, because everybody's focusing their energy on the same thing.
That's a perfect analogy. Like
So-
watching hockey on TV versus going to a game.
Oh,
is
fuck yeah.
Two separate experiences. Getting tattooed in the studio, in your favorite studio that you've been to 10 times,
right.
as opposed to traveling 2 hours.
Well, jam out in your car or go see the show.
Right.
Come on. I want to go see the show.
Yep.
Like, so having that complete sensory overload and having that full availability of being catered to, there's more products available. You can pick out what aftercare you want. You want a different kind of bandage, there's 5 different kinds you can buy while you're there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you normally go into the shop and they've got the 2 or 3 products that your artists use. If you want to go and spend and buy Hustle Butter or go to H2 Ocean or go to all these other places that you normally don't have a counter availability access to, like, go explore,
It's just fucking cool.
learn
Man.
about new shit.
So it was funny. So I'm at Philly and I'm going through. So everybody has to go through a security check line.
Right.
Since I was 14, I've kept a pocket knife in my right pocket. And so it's Sunday. And I know that we've got security to go through. But just out of habit, I forget to put my pocket knife in my book bag.
Right.
So it's in my pocket. So they wand me and the sensor goes off. And they're like, what's in your right front pocket? And so I pull it out and I'm like, and it's a small 3-inch pocket knife. Like, it's just a little pocket knife.
Right.
Open boxes, open mail.
Cut tape.
Yeah, cut tape. They're like, no knives allowed. And I'm like, well, I'm a tattoo artist, you know, think like
That might help.
like I'm not here to like create violence. I'm here to work.
I have a box to break
Yeah.
down.
And the guy looks at me like stone cold. He's like, no knives. It's not a big deal, but nonetheless, it's a $50 Kershaw pocket knife. Like,
Right.
like it's not a cheapo one.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to argue. I'm like, fuck it. So I hand him the pocket knife. He looks at his boss and he's like, hey, I got a pocket knife here. What do you want me to do with it? And he's like, pitch it. I'm like, don't fucking pitch it. Take it home. Keep it, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
The irony of this is when you go up to the floor, there are vendors there who are
Selling
not
knives.
tattooers where I could buy brass knuckles and
Jeez.
10-inch blades with brass knuckles, like literal weapons that I could buy up on the floor, but
That's
they
so funny.
confiscated
That didn't
my
even
little.
occur to me with their security check, is that there were things like that for
Jesus.
sale. That's hilarious.
And I'm
That
just
didn't
like-
even occur to me.
I'm
All
like,
the times I
dude,
went through that checkpoint, I'm like, man,
I can go
are they actually gonna
upstairs.
check my bag?
Yeah, like I can in 2 minutes I can buy a bayonet
And I'm back at you.
and I'm fucking people up.
So
But you're gonna confiscate my 3-inch.
I would have just
pocket
been
knife.
like, I'll take it back to my room
Yeah,
and then not done that.
yeah, I know.
You
I
know
know.
what I mean? Like,
That just was like, so I'm
Oh.
down a Kershaw pocket knife.
Jesus. I carried the same pocket knife for like 6 fucking years, to the point where like it had my wear in it, you know,
Yeah.
lost it.
Oh.
And I haven't replaced it. And I still reach in my pocket for my pocket knife. That's not fucking there. And it drives me god dang insane. And it's
You're
one of
gonna
those
need
things
to
like,
get a new pocket knife, Ben.
well, they don't make the one I want anymore, because like all good things that last, they stop producing them because they don't sell a ton of them,
Right.
because you buy it and it doesn't fucking break. So the people that bought it are still using it, and you're only replacing them for people like me that fucking lost them.
You're saying you encourage planned obsolescence, build
No,
it to break, so it stays
No.
available.
I just want to rebuy a product that I lose. I need to work on my accountability is really what the issue is. But it kind of sucks. So now I have to find another one, and I'm picky. You know, I'm kind of spoiled.
Oh yeah. Well, this was the
I like my
perfect one too.
blades.
It was a 3-inch Kershaw pocket knife. And I specifically, because I hate earth tone colors or dark colors because
You're gonna
everything
lose
is
it.
earth, right? You can't
I want it to be bright fucking
right.
orange.
And if it falls inside your black backpack,
Ye-
you
or car.
can't, yeah, you can't find it. So I purposely bought like a day glow orange Kershaw 3-inch pocket knife. And so I get home from Philadelphia. I go online and I type in, on Amazon,
right.
orange Kershaw pocket knife. Boom, there it is. $39. Awesome. That's what I
Sweet.
paid for it fucking 6 years ago.
Sweet.
I order it. They sent me a black one. So every day I'm hyper stressed about losing this new pocket knife I just got because it blends in with
Send it
fucking
the fuck back. It's
everything.
Amazon.
I
I
know.
will send shit back to Amazon like it smelled funny. I opened the package and it looked at me weird, so I taped it back up and sent it back.
I would have, but I wanted my pocket knife so bad that day. I kept
He
it.
said it was a black one.
I'm
That's
like,
gotta be disappointing though. I
son of a bitch.
did the same thing. I I'm a gear nerd and I was planning out my backpacking gear and I needed
Hey,
a
Ben.
mug. Yes, ma'am.
And before
What?
you jump into this rabbit
ma'am.
hole, I'm gonna
No.
jump off of here for a little bit, but I'm gonna keep you guys playing in the background.
Okie
I'm
dokie.
gonna help Jess and Brian get set up in the booth because they are kicking butt without me right now. I'll show you.
We'll go do work, Fawn.
Brian's
Jeez.
over there climbing.
Ooh.
But I'm gonna keep you guys on and kind of let my phone charge up, and I will rejoin you later on in the conversation.
Cool. So we'll talk to you in a bit.
Or if you just like need me, holler. I'll be here.
Holla.
All right, guys,
All right.
carry on.
Yep. No, so same accord. So I'm a gear nerd. I was planning out my backpacking gear and I needed a mug. I need coffee, man. And instead of carrying a large water container, I carry like a medium-sized one and I just fill my mug, right? So I was looking for something very specific. I wanted to have measuring marks so I could do my meals. A lot of dehydrated meals take different requirements for boiling water, right? So I
Yep.
wanted to be able to measure out my water, and I wanted to be able to I wanted it to be nesting. I wanted to fit inside my gear. So I was looking for a certain diameter and it had to be measuring. That was it. That's my only requirements. Fucking hours, different web pages, finally find one that I want. Perfect. GSI, love it. Order this motherfucking thing. It comes without the measuring marks. Fuck ass. So same gig. I'm like, hey guys, like the picture and like I specifically and I got I ordered an orange one because don't want to lose my gear in the middle of fucking woods. And they're like, yeah, only the navy ones come with the measuring marks. The fuck's it say that? Show me where it says that.
Right.
Show me where it says that, please. And they're like, I guess it doesn't. Then send me one with marks on it.
Right.
This is a simple transaction here, guy. It took me a minute. Like it took some like serious fucking convincing, but I got him to send me the right one.
Oh.
They're like, well, you can send it back and we can send you the navy one. I'm like, no. I wanted the orange one. If I get a navy one, when I lose it in the middle of the woods because it matches and it's dark and I don't, that's no orange.
Right.
Same gig. I did it on purpose. And now you're fucking with my system.
Yeah.
And once my ADD agrees that this is the correct thing, it can't be anything else.
No.
I've looked at 500 other fucking products now. This is it. There's no backtracking. I've made up so many excuses and reasons that why this is the one that I
It
need.
checks all my boxes.
And fuck you. I want measuring marks. I still have the old one.
All right.
I ended up taking my normal kitchen liquid cup and pouring in 1 cup.
Oh, marking
Marked it with a
yourself.
fucking piece of tape. Like a piece of painter's tape. Someone's got like little hash marks on it.
No, dude, I feel you.
Now I got to.
There's certain things where you're just like, this is how I fucking operate.
Yeah. I don't know. It's funny how you find those weird particular little niches, and I'm sure it's that way with everything. So it's hard for me to ask for recommendations for anything. So people are like, oh yeah, no, this is the one, and it's sweet. I love it, blah, blah, blah. And you get it, and you're like, yeah, this sucks.
Yeah.
Our boxes are different, man.
Yep.
That's why I don't get movie recommendations. That's why I don't get music recommendations. Like I hate it. I will judge you hard as fuck if you tell me to listen to a song and I'm like, this is trash. Trash.
I think we can't be friends.
So I just don't ask.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you tell me to read some book and I'm like, the fuck did he think I needed out of this book? Like, think I'm depressed or something? Like, what the fuck? Or whatever.
So I have a funny story to me. I don't know if it'll be funny to anybody else.
I'm sure I'll laugh.
So my wife and I went to Martha's Vineyard last year. And it was where they would always do, for like 12 years in a row, they would do family vacations.
Okay.
So we invited her parents. They stayed at the Airbnb with us. And so one day, Betsy and I decide to go to Nantucket. It's a 1-hour ferry ride.
Oh yeah.
And that's, the Kennedys and
Yeah,
fucking Bill
yeah.
Belichick, all the fucking rich people. So we go there, we're touring around. It's super old, early 1800s.
All Nantucket-ish.
Yeah. Collars up, fucking
We brought the yacht.
polo, everything, the harbor. So we go to this whaling museum. And so what I didn't know was that Nantucket was North America's whaling capital for fucking ever, like
Okay.
centuries. And so we go through, they're like, hey, in 15 minutes, a whaling seminar is going to be going on. I'm sorry, Kyle, I keep fucking flicking this damn microphone. It's probably,
He's fat.
so they give us all these details about the history of whaling. Super, super interesting. We then, on a side note, we go to this place for lunch at the harbor, and it's insane. Like, it's like 5-star shit that you don't get anywhere other than Nantucket.
Right.
And like, there's these super yachts coming in, and we're like Googling the names, and it's like these billionaires who own like, 4 fucking
Jeez.
wineries and shit like that. So anyways, Betsy is all into the ocean. She's her majors are like biology and chemistry, and she lives for oceanic and water and whatever. So when we get back, she buys a handful of books about like whaling and Nantucket and oceany type of stuff.
And she's a reader too, isn't
Yeah.
she? Yeah.
So fast forward to this week. She gets up, and she usually goes to bed early. I get home at 8:30. She gets up at like 8:45 after we shoot the shit, hey, how was your day? How was your day? She's like, I'm going upstairs to read. I'm like, cool. What are you reading? She's like, I'm reading this book that was the precursor and inspiration for Moby Dick. And it's based on the real life journal entries of this 2-year expedition to hunt whales out of Nantucket.
Huh.
I'm like, that sounds pretty fucking rad. So she starts telling me some crazy shit. So I'm like, whoa, like, I mean, the boat breaks down. This is 1820. The boat breaks down like 5 days out. They eventually get attacked by a fucking monstrous whale that breaks the ship apart so much
Jesus Christ.
that now there's like 10 dudes in like 3 lifeboats with barely any rations. They're trying to figure out the currents and where they're at, etc. Like, it's catastrophe. And so I'm like, whoa, so I'm listening to her kind of like intensely. And so she must have fed into my intensity
Right.
in this. So typically the way this goes is I get home, I hang out with my wife for a half an hour to an hour because I get home at 8:30. She usually gets up at like 4:35 to get a workout in. She has a normal job, 9 to 5. I'm usually drinking a bourbon and a beer. Due to her job, she doesn't like to be around weed or anything. So I kind of wait till she goes to bed. Then I go out in the garage, add a little fucking THC buzz to my bourbon buzz, and ride out the rest of the evening. So she goes to bed. Cool. Time for me to get high. So I got in the garage, fucking puff on my one hitter a couple times, get a good buzz. I walk in, and there she is at the kitchen table. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's got the book in hand. So I'm sitting on the couch. It's like dim light. I got 2 bourbons in me and the weeds kicking in. And I'm like, perfect. and she starts reading me passages from the book about kind of the highlights she discussed. And at first I'm like, this is kind of weird.
No, I love it.
But then about 10 minutes in, I'm like, I wonder if she'll read this book to me every fucking night. Because I'm so immersed in these stories and I don't have to fucking read.
I love Audible. Can we just be real?
I
Real
know,
life Audible?
dude, that's how I get my books. But now it's my wife. I get to have entertainment with my wife as she's reading this.
Does she do voices?
I
That's all
know. As she is reading this epic tale
Oh, that's
of
amazing.
whale hunting and stranded in the Pacific. And do they fucking cut their rations in half to go back to South America, etc. And then all of a sudden, like 40 minutes later, and I'm just like engulfing her. She's like, I gotta go to bed. And I'm like, no.
No, I mean, I'm totally, I'm like, she's an avid reader as well. She's like, I just want to sit here and read. And I'm like, do it out loud.
Right.
Like, I'm here, I'm sitting here doing nothing, playing on my fucking phone. If you want to read, that's rad.
Yeah.
Loop me in. Start at the beginning. You got a new book you want to start? Like, she reads 2-3 at a time. Like,
Right.
always has one going type of thing.
Yeah. So like this weekend, I think I need to bring up to her, like, hey man, like when I was really fucking high, that was awesome.
That's the best.
Like, can we make this a nightly thing?
Make it your date night.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, it is Wednesday. I want to hear fucking Precursor Moby Dick stories.
For sure.
I'm high. Let's fucking do this.
I was taking it all in, man.
love
I
it.
was like, I'm in.
I love it.
So I have a bladder of a baby.
Get it.
So I'm gonna leave you solo for about 90 seconds.
I am going to do a soliloquy. I don't even know what that word means, but
Enjoy it.
I'll do it. Take a big stretch, wait for Kyle to move some cameras around. Kyle's been on it. He's been hibbity hopping around, changing things. I didn't want to yell at him and let him know that he gave me a bum microphone cable. I just keep fixing it.
Yeah, I didn't know that one was bummed.
It's okay.
I'll
It's
switch
okay.
it out for next time.
I don't
I've been
hate you.
trying some things, trying new
No,
stuff.
dude, you're doing great. He's been moving cameras and like getting new angles. And what the people out there in listener land don't know is that we have discussed several approaches to how we might lay this out a little bit different. And I think we're gonna like how it's gonna come.
Yeah.
It feels a lot like we're not talking to the camera because we talk to each other. So we're hoping that some different camera angles and switching the table around a little bit will get to where we can have a little bit more better quality. But Kyle, you should go to our Instagram and pull up in our messages. I have got a thing that Wes does that I'm going to put him on the spot while he's in the toilet. He also does little blips that he puts out on the internet about ask a tattooer type of thing, and answers questions, and is also very in line with trying to be educational and keeping people abreast of what's going on. So I forwarded one of those over to us, and we should give that a whirl.
Is it the most recent one?
I would imagine so.
Okay. Sorry, they don't preview on here, so I gotta open it up.
Jeez, Kyle.
Pulling it up right now. We got Fawn joining back in.
Fawn's coming back in a sec. So yeah. Tattoo FAQ.
And what exactly you're talking.
There you go.
So you want to get your first tattoo and you're wondering, what's the checklist? All right, well, let's start. First off, you need to know what you want. You might not need to know exactly what you want, but have a pretty good idea, and having reference pictures from the internet is always good to help me kind of see into your head what exactly you're talking about. I won't copy exact artwork that you find online, but just get me stuff that you like that's similar, and then we're gonna create something unique and individual for you. Okay, so A, we need to know the design. B, you need to figure out where you want to get it. You also need to know what size you want to get it. Budget, how much money do you have to spend or to invest in this tattoo? We have our consultation. We book you your appointment. Now we take a non-refundable deposit that holds your spot. Now comes the time you need to show up. I recommend getting a good night's sleep, not partying hard. You want to wake up feeling fresh, feeling revived, energized. You want to get a good breakfast or a good meal in you. You want to be hydrated. On your way to the shop, you're going to want to wear nice, comfortable clothing. You're going to want to wear clothing that gives me access to where we're going to tattoo you. And then I highly recommend getting those sugar levels up. I have
Freeze mode. Well, essentially what we were saying is Kyle broke it.
What? The video ended.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it only sends a portion in a message because it's a longer video. A lot of times they'll auto clip them. So I just sent that.
It is capped at a minute 30.
Yep.
Oh,
So I just sent him that in our messenger so I would have a link to it.
gotcha.
That was all. So
I wonder if it's in its full length online.
I'll take a look in the
it's probably on
background
this
here.
page.
Cool, thank you.
My only thing was is that you follow a lot of the same practices that on the show we preach a lot. And it's really cool to see other people trying to spread the same message that we do, because there's not a lot of information out there for the collector. There's a lot of art, there's a lot of things that you can choose, but no one tells you to eat, no one tells you to not party the night before, no one tells you to dress to where your tattoo is going to be accessible and be comfortable and make sure you have something to stay warm and bring a fucking pillow. Like, be comfortable. That's the whole. It's your day, and just kind of showing like shared value.
Yep.
And it's cool to see other people in the same mindset.
So part of that video, what I was just about to get to when that video cut off, was actually one of the most important things. With as long as I've been getting tattooed, I still have the same ritual for probably the last 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, no matter what you've done all day, I always grab a banana and an orange juice on my way to my tattoo. And I eat the banana and I drink more orange juice to get the sugar levels up, because it doesn't matter how many times you've been tattooed.
Yep.
It's trauma to the body. If you're not prepared for it, if you're still stressed from work, if you're dehydrated, all sorts of things can make you feel queasy.
Yep.
Can make you pass out or get close to it. Regardless, it's going to ruin the experience. And what so many people don't understand is the remedy for all of that is simply sugar. If you want to drink a chocolate
sugar.
Yeah. And honestly, though, if you want to drink a chocolate milk and eat a Snickers bar, that's better than nothing.
Yeah,
I choose banana and orange juice and bring a bottle of water with me.
Right.
But yeah, good sugar definitely is going to last a lot longer in your system. But anytime you're feeling off on the tattoo, I would say 99% of the time. I mean, on the occasion that we have somebody get lightheaded or pass out at Body Language, whatever, we bring them back, et cetera, et cetera. And then of course they're embarrassed. So we're trying to calm this, minimize the situation. So it's usually, I'm like, hey, when was the last time you ate? And they're like, no, I had a good lunch. And it's like, Roger that, it's 6:30.
Yep.
Like, awesome. You had a great lunch 6.5 hours ago.
Right.
Like, prepare for the tattoo. So kind of to fill in the gap of that video cutting off, was my go-to is I eat and you can get bananas at Speedways in the hood.
Right.
Like,
generally pretty good.
Literally, I work in Whitehall.
Right.
And there are always bananas at the Speedway 2 doors over.
Love it.
So you can get an OJ and a banana at any gas station, almost anywhere. That's my go-to. And that kind of just preps me for the tattoo. Get those sugar levels up. They're kind of slow burning sugars, and then bring a bottle of water is the end of that video, which is very key into making your experience better.
Right. We've done lots of episodes and lots of talks on pre and post, and I have more of a post tattoo ritual than a pre.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. I always go home. I always rinse out the tattoo. And a lot of people disagree with this. Like, a lot of people will tell you to keep it back in microphone. A lot of people will tell you to keep it wrapped in the Sanoderm or leave it covered. And I want all that packing agent out. I want all of the skin to be exfoliated and to then prepare the tattoo. So I always go home and I mean, this is what was on the fucking paperwork when I got tattooed. Go home and get it as warm as you can stand for a minute, get it as cold as you can stand for a minute, pat to dry. So I always cleaned it really well, followed that procedure, and then covered it. And now it's altered a little bit. But I always drink orange juice after. I generally is my first stop is I grab an orange juice. I go home, I drink that, I smoke, take my shower, and then I've changed what I wrap with, but it was always dress it after that. And then I'll leave that dressing on for that night, next day, whatever, an extended period of time. But I don't like sitting in the whatever you're packing or whatever your glide is.
Right. No, I would say one of the biggest things that I always tell people when I do like a really heavily saturated tattoo, I feel like this is much more important, that hot water, cold water treatment.
Right.
Like wash it in hot water, with some whatever dial gold. And then
he doesn't mean scolding.
Yeah, don't burn yourself. But it should be to the point of uncomfortable.
Right.
Like you want to open the pores and rinse them clean. And then I'll let that hot water run on that tattoo for a minute or two.
Yep.
And then ice cold water to close the pores down, pat dry. I think that it does two things I've found. It helps eliminate you staining your good sheets.
Yep.
So for all you young people out there, you're probably like, what the fuck? But for you gentlemen out there
You got a couple hundy wrapped
who are
up.
married to a wife who spent
on her
$300
duvet cover.
on fucking 1,000 count fucking XYZ silk sheets, it's a pretty big deal to avoid an argument the next morning that you don't have an inversed imprint fucking American Eagle and a fucking
I still so when I did my back, all the cool things weren't around, and I'm sure they were. I just didn't know about them. And I just went to sleep in an old t-shirt. Woke up to get my old t-shirt off, and the literal imprint of the center of my back was in it. I think I still have the photo somewhere. It was super gnarly.
oh
But do that on your sheets?
yeah.
You ever done that at a hotel?
I have not done it at a toe, but I can tell you what. So when I got American rocked on my stomach,
Oh fuck!
so I'm a belly sleeper.
Yep.
And at this point, I'm young. I don't know that we're sleeping on 1,500 count fucking Egyptian linen sheets.
Right.
It's what my fucking wife bought.
Right.
And I left literally the negative imprint of a red, white, and blue American on the sheets. And she threw a fucking
Oh,
fit.
that.
And tattooing, by the way, does not come out of clothes easily.
No. No.
But anyway, so
it's plasma.
yeah.
Like it's not ink, if we're calling it that.
Yeah,
It's
there's a
not
lot of
pigment.
chemistry
There's
involved.
there's some bio in that bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to get the Vaseline and the packing agents
Yep.
out, because then there's that much less to seep out.
Yep.
Like
Yeah, you'll eliminate the seeping. It'll heal quicker. You won't stain your sheets. And I found the healing time, cut by 30 to 40% if you do
Jeez.
a good hot cold
Right.
water treatment.
Well, and now they've got this wonderful product that I will plug all day, every day, called Tattoo Armor. And if you haven't used it yet, bro,
I have not.
it is the motherfucking game changer.
Really?
They are soft cloth, non-permeable wraps that you can tape or saran wrap or whatever over top of your tattoo that pull the liquid away from the tattoo. I have never had one stick. Never. I did my whole fat, chunky man thigh, giant sheet of one, not 1 square inch of it. Did it stick? Did it pull? Did it snag? Nothing. Flaked on, flaked off, kept it completely clean. Like game fucking changer.
That's awesome to know.
So you remember when they switch, everybody was using meat pads,
Mm-hmm.
like legit, like chicken meat pads.
Yep.
It's the same concept, but done with a soft front. So it's like wrapping a paper towel on it.
That's fucking
They
awesome.
don't drip, you don't ooze, you don't goop, you don't. Send me a t-shirt, Tattoo Armor.
I'll take one too. I haven't used them, but I'm sold.
They're amazing. Like game changed. So now I at whatever session we're doing, I'll wrap with that and let it set.
Dude, that's
Give it a day. Make sure it's not still clammy.
right.
Once I'm not clammy, fucking cheapy white fucking lotion, bud. Once or twice a day. No
Boom.
alcohols, no nothing, no scented, no color.
Perfect.
And I don't care what that lotion is. What comes in the dollar bottle. I do like to buy a small bottle of lotion though. Since you're dealing with an open wound, that there's always some cross contamination. And I know it's your body, but
It's still cross contamination.
it's still gross.
Yeah.
Like you're putting some funk on some funk. So like later, if you go to put some on your kid's face, you know, something along those lines, I try not to use like the house lotion
Right.
for my tattoos. I try to buy a specific, and then I'll buy like a smaller, like a travel size.
Cool.
Keep the gunk down, toss it when I'm done.
Nice.
And you know who told me that? Like no one. That was years of figuring all that shit out. Like
right.
the paper said hot and cold. That was about as far as it.
Right.
And you guys actually were one of the few that did that back then. Like no one really told you how to take care of tattoos in 2002.
Which baffles me.
Right.
But I think half the people back then were still like a quarter-inch thick layer of Vaseline to keep it moist. And yeah, like
Keep it wet.
dude, your oxygen will take care of everything, man.
Well, our bodies are pretty fucking cool. You know, I get that Vaseline creates a barrier, and a nice thick glooping of it's going to keep it clean for till it's
Yeah, it'll
Not
keep it
gloopy
clean,
anymore.
but it'll keep it fucking goopy for fucking
and wet and gross and saturated and falling out and nasty. But it worked once, and somebody went, "Well, it stayed clean. It healed."
right.
But it's the same concept as the fucking the new skins, the
Yep.
Sanoderms, the subdermal bandages, whatever the fuck you want to call them. They keep it just wet. And I know that some people are like, yeah, that's the shit. But I'm kind of the opposite.
I'm the believer of less is more.
Let the body do what the body needs to do.
Exactly. And for collectors out there, and I don't want to necessarily put tattooers on blast, but if tattooers are saying this, they probably should be put on blast. If the tattoo is executed properly, no matter what you do as a collector,
It should heal fine.
it should heal just fine. And I have a big problem with, well, what did you do? No, what did you do, motherfucker? Like,
Because unless you went home and scrubbed it with a fucking SOS pad.
yeah, no, dude.
Now, did you go to the sandbox in the beach and immediately start playing with cat shit and then jump in the ocean and then
Right.
tan for 4 hours? Okay,
That's on you.
that's on you.
But if you're a normal person who's like, I went home, I went to bed, I got up, I worked out, I went to work, I came home, I ate dinner, I
Shit
watched TV, I
chunky.
went to bed. That's which is 99% of the
Right.
situation. It's not the recipients, it's not the tattooee's fault.
Right.
The tattooer didn't do their job.
There's a breakdown somewhere.
Yeah. So I'm not saying don't neglect your tattoos, but
I mean,
tattoo collectors, if you're not in the industry,
but anyone,
follow the basic protocols that a reputable shop's going to give you. But at the end of the day, less is more. They say apply this aftercare ointment 2 to 3 times a day. It's better to apply it once a day than 5 times a day.
Right,
Keeping it
right.
wet and soaking and saturated with ointment is not doing it any better. Your body knows what to do. And if it was done well,
right?
it's going to heal up just fine.
It's an abrasion.
Yeah.
We don't go through that care when we cut ourselves with a thorn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
skinny, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
a skinned knee is deeper than a tattoo.
Yeah. Like you should be able to go about your daily business and almost ignore the tattoo healing process.
But as a heavy collector, we've all had shitty heels
Oh yeah.
from reputable fucking artists.
Mhm.
It happens. It happens.
Skin is an imperfect medium.
Right.
And that's
That's
huge,
why all tattoo pictures are when they're fucking fresh.
right. That's the hugest. It's an imperfect medium. It's not pencil on paper.
Right.
It you know,
There's a variant.
if we're looking at even line work, it's not a printer on paper.
Right.
It's a human being in X atmosphere
Oh, and you remember when people used to
executing their craft on an imperfect medium that's not flat.
do you remember when people used to try to do the big, long, solid like arm lines or like the all the way up the spine,
Right.
one line,
Yeah.
or like that? And it was like in theory, it looked great. And then the person would turn their arm just a little bit and the whole thing would look like a wibbly wobbly mess. So unless they were standing exactly like how the stencil went on, the tattoo looked fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think there was a whole, I'm trying not to offend anybody. I think there was a whole genre of art that forgot that the body has a shape.
Right. And it's not symmetrical.
Right.
It's not cylindrical perfectly.
Right. And you're just kind of like,
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So I've gotten into now the topic of when it's somebody who only has a few tattoos or maybe no tattoos and they get something on their forearm. I always tell them, look at it in the mirror like you're showing it off. But I want you to notice when your arm is hanging, it's going to look crooked and twisted oddly. Well, we have a forearm that starts wide, it goes narrow. It's two bones that rotate on two different axes in your forearm. But I just want them to know before they get the tattoo, as they're kind of looking at the stencil in the mirror, that's not how your arm hangs normally. Are you cool with this? Like,
yep.
And I try to explain it to them. Like, I just need you to know
That's like the
99% of the time when your arm's hanging down,
it's not gonna look that
the
perfect.
geisha's face is going to show, but her dress is going to curve inward and it's going to look a little awkward. But that's the way the anatomy works, because the average, just if a plumber came into my house or an electrician was like, oh, XYZ breaker this, fucking 220 that. And I'm like,
Right.
I got you, bro.
Money.
Do what you need to do. But
So-
now you're wearing it. So I just try to be a little bit more articulate about, are we still cool with the placement of the tattoo?
That's like the people that come in and they want to get something backwards because it's for them. I want the letters to face me.
Right.
So no one's ever going to be able to read that. And you're always going to go like this to show people.
Right.
Or I want the cross. No, the cross is for me. Then you drop your arm and now you've got an upside down cross.
Right.
And oops.
I want
There's a
the
pretty funny
angel
video.
numbers.
Yep.
999 for me.
Yep. That's 666 move.
Right. Which I always, so this is definitely a stance I have taken differently now. So let's say somebody wants anything upside down. 20 years ago, I probably would have been that dude who now is considered a dickhead. We don't do that.
Right.
The tattoo is for the viewer only. But I get it.
Right.
This is what people want. So now I'm happy to do a tattoo, what we would call upside down.
Same with flying south.
And I just, you know, if it happens to be a cross or a 999,
Right.
I'll just be like, just so you
I
know,
want to be extra clear.
right.
Well, it's just like the
Just so you because they're in the moment. We're not in the moment.
you do this 10 times a day.
Yeah, we work in the industry. I'll just be like, hey, just so you know, like this is what it's the observation from the outside world. But
This is coming quick. You need
But-
to understand.
Yeah. but it's also I'm completely cool with it.
Right.
Like
Do you remember when it was
where
a big
20
deal with-
years ago I probably wouldn't have, and I would have been, as much as I pride myself on customer service, I would have like held my stance
Yeah.
of like, this isn't how a tattoo goes. Where now I'm like, this is for you. I'll do what you want it fucking quote unquote upside down. Awesome.
The rules have changed.
Yeah, they have.
Um,
And
same-
the
same
and the
with
client
way somewhere
fucking is
something
the
faces.
client.
Like, do you remember when you know it has to face in? If it's
Yeah.
facing out, it's flying south. And now you see it all the time. Like it's not even like even a rule anymore.
Yeah.
You're like, thought there was rules, man.
I know. I know. And that's where you have to
Except
just, I think, as it's evolution.
Yeah.
As a tattooer, you know, because I've had people ask me like, oh, what do you think about the upside down tattoos just for them? I'm like, fuck, awesome.
run it.
They want to be able to see it. I never even thought of that 20 years ago because I was taught that's not how you think. You want to be able to read your tattoo or see the bunny rabbit or the fucking flamingo. It's almost
Can
like
we get bunny rabbit flamingo tattoos, please? Me and you.
it's almost like an enlightenment for
Yeah.
me that I'm like, oh, here we go. This is an awesome
Yep.
revolution. But instead of being a dickhead about it, if the situation arises where it is a cross or
A
999,
little more faux pas.
just be like, just so you know. But if it's a bunny rabbit, who gives a fuck if it's upside down?
right.
If it's a flamingo, who gives a fuck if it's upside
Baby's
down?
mom's got on her wrist, be happy, be you, to face her,
Right.
to remind herself it's okay to be happy in yourself.
Yeah,
So like it's a motivational, encouraging thing that makes her feel good about her fucking day every time she looks at her wrist.
yeah,
I get it. But like you're saying, 10 years ago, they'd been like, nah, fam. Just
yeah.
mm.
I mean, dude, half of me is like, I'd love to look at my geisha fucking right side up.
all this time. But in the mirror. upside
Yeah,
down.
I got to look at this chick upside down. I'm like, oh, I didn't know we could choose to have it fucking
Right.
the other way.
Run
So
it.
it's all about the client experience, man.
Right.
Like you can inform them without being an elitist douchebag and just be like, hey,
Normally
My
this is how it
2
goes,
cents.
but I'll do whatever you want.
yeah,
Is the approach.
right.
Did I ever tell you the story about being at a concert? I went to a Devil Driver show and was there, saw like 3 or 4 bands. Same dude stood next to me all night, like a hold your spot kind of situation. Didn't know this motherfucker. We get all the way down through the show, and he goes, and I don't remember what he went to hand me. He went to hand me something. We both stuck our arms out, and we both had the Love Thy Neighbor tattoo in the exact same fucking spot. And that was before my arm was all finished out, because that was one of the first ones we
Right.
did over here. And it was one of those like, I don't know if I can be friends with you now. That's fucking weird.
That's fucking awesome.
Exact same tattoo, exact same, like same color scheme, like fucking.
Yeah,
Did you go to my dude? Bro?
yeah. Same traditional Sailor Jerry fucking.
It was just one of those like, sorry, I didn't mean to bunny train. We're talking about upside down tattoos. It in Flash tradition, tattoos were designed for certain areas.
Yep.
They were designed to look a certain way, to hold a certain position, to fill a certain spot. So as that Sailor Jerry tattoo matches the same guy, because that tattoo was made for that fucking spot. So like now with the availability of artwork and the availability of what can be put into the skin, the hyperrealism now works. The super fine black and gray now works. Like,
Yep.
The level of art has surpassed the need to keep that tattoo for that spot.
Right. And I will say this, to the tattoo collector as well. Get what you want to get. It's on you. 100%. Like,
But listen,
but if you're at a reputable shop and your tattooer seems cool and he approaches the topic cool as well, because I think that's a big thing. Yeah. Like, you know, well, I mean, fucking, I've been tattooing for 30 fucking years and like tattoos are supposed to be for the fucking, all right, that dude, fuck him. But if somebody's like,
Fair.
absolutely cool, food for thought. Think about this.
right?
And when I'm in this position, so they're going to give you options. So for instance, I had this gal come in. It was 2 gals. And now I'm like all concerned that I just said gals.
You're okay.
Yeah, it's 2023.
I'm suddenly aware I said the word gal.
I don't,
It doesn't mean it derogatorily.
don't cancel me for saying gals. 2 females come into the shop.
I love you.
One is speaking ultimately what I end up finding out Farsi.
Okay.
She's from Iran. She's been in America for 5 months. And her friend who's been here for about 10 years, or relative from Iran, she's kind of speaking more for her. And we're going to do a sunflower stipple shaded, and the center of the sunflower is going to be a moon. Awesome. Cool
Right.
fucking tattoo. And so she's a very petite female. And so her initial thought is she wants it on the front of her bicep.
Ooh.
And so I kind of explained to both of them, because the one female's translating for her friend. I'm like, awesome, glad to do it. But we're going to have this nice round design, and it's good. And she's so petite, it's going to fold over her bicep. So
You're only going to see the
it's going to
center of the
be, yeah,
tattoo.
it's going to be a little distorted. If it were me, I would recommend putting it on the top of the forearm where we can get the whole flower to show pretty much flat, and she'll be able to show it off. And so she's like, okay, you know, maybe. She's like, you know, and then she says, you know, can you put the stencil on the upper arm, you know, on the bicep, and I can take a look at it. I'm like, 100%. So I went and printed off 2 stencils and put both of them on at the same time,
Yep.
so she could contrast
Direct
and compare
Contrast, yeah.
visually at the same time. And lo and behold, looking in the mirror, she opts for the forearm piece, because she now understands what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, oh, I can see the whole sunflower as opposed to the center and a couple petals, you know, going up and down.
And it's hard to change someone's vision when you walk into somewhere and you're like, I've been thinking about this tattoo for like 6 years and I've wanted it done this way. And you're just like, that just doesn't translate to a good tattoo. It's a rough conversation.
Right. And so being able to show them, because people can't visualize. I mean, I have more than 20 years experience in this. They have 2 minutes experience in this.
Right.
So it's on us to be able to convey the message of, this is why. So if there's any tattooers or young tattooers out there,
Tatter tots.
I would say, you know, instead of getting frustrated and complaining to your coworkers in the back room, take the time to make a couple stencils,
Right.
put them on in the different locations so your client can then visually see. Again, kind of to my point of, if an electrician or a plumber comes to my house and they're like XYZ, and I'm just like, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
I'm not a plumber. I'm
Right.
not an electrician. I
Right.
don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm expecting your expertise.
I want the toilet to flush.
Yeah.
I want a tattoo.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And your client is, I want a tattoo that looks good.
Right.
Take the time to make multiple stencils and put them on. If you're a client, I would say, ask them, can you make a couple stencils and put them in the different locations so I can see? I mean, dude, it
Takes minutes.
minutes, if that,
Minutes.
dude, maybe minute for me to have put 2 different stencils on this gal, for her to look in the mirror and be like, oh, I get what you're saying. I want it here. And then everybody wins. She's going to get a better looking tattoo. You get a better looking tattoo for your
Isn't it
portfolio.
easier to do a tattoo not wrapped around and morphed around a body part as a tattooer?
100%.
So, I mean, isn't it a win for you to be able to do a better tattoo and a better looking tattoo? But it's easier on you to do. There's not that weird, like, switch position 38 times and let me stretch you this weird inside arm thing.
Yeah.
Like, just
And
lay
it's
it
just a
down.
matter of being cool about it. Like, don't expect your client to understand everything you're saying. They're focused on what their occupation is.
Right.
You are the master of your occupation. So go, and I'm not even gonna say extra mile. Go the extra 3 feet.
It's not even that.
And
I think
give
that's your
them the option.
ethical responsibility to not do shitty tattoos. Can I just be honest?
100%.
If you're like, hey, like this just doesn't translate, even if you don't know how to fix it, it might be your job if somebody brings you in the photo that's too grainy to not try to do the portrait from the shitty picture, to not try to do the landscape from the horrible reference. And then they're disappointed because it's not what they do in their mind.
100. We have a newer guy at Body Language, and he is not used to, he's very customer service oriented, which is awesome. You have to be. That's my credo. But there are certain aspects of tattooing where I won't allow the client to bully me into
a shitty tattoo. Yeah.
And I've tried, and I'm starting to like teach him of like, listen, 99% of the time, the customer is right. And that includes the, hey, I'm going to give you some options because this is my 2 cents. But then there is that 1, maybe to 3% where you kind of need to hold your line a little bit more. Like for me, it's for cover-ups. You can't tell me what I'm going to cover that up with. If you come to me with a cover-up, we're going to have a conversation and I'm going to give you some general aspects of what will cover that up. But if I'm like, hey man, like we're talking, it needs to be busy. So it needs to be heavy floral, like a chrysanthemum or a koi fish or a bird of prey.
Lots of lines.
Yeah. And I try to explain like we need a lot of lines and action going different ways. And they're like, I really want a sun.
Do you want a black sun?
I'm not taking that.
Right.
Because I know I'm going to disappoint them.
Right.
So it's like, no, I gave you 3 categories. This is my gut reaction. If you come up with a category similar,
right,
cool. But throwing out, I want a fucking.
So you say fish, I say snake.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But if I say bird of prey and you say a smiling sun, that's just not.
I want a peace symbol.
Right. That's not going to work.
I'm with you.
But that's 1 to 3% of the time.
Right.
The other 97% of the time, it's throw your 2 cents in politely and also show them the options.
Do you ever start that with, hey, if you want the sun, here is a laser removal number. And when you get that shit off your arm,
right,
I'll put your happy little sun on there for you.
Yeah. And that's the follow-up. So it's like, I always try to be like customers right. And there's going to be that slight few where it's always cover-ups. That's
You were already wrong once.
Right.
Okay? It's time to listen.
and so for who's ever listening to this podcast is, if you're looking for a cover up, I would say don't just go into the everyday shop. Do a little homework. Find out who's good with cover ups in your town or
Right.
near. Go in there with maybe and your ideas are very valuable. We have to have them because this is the second time. I don't want to put something on you that you don't like.
Right.
But you also have to understand, for a correct cover up, there are going to be limitations to your choices that then, and it's fine to take time. Like if your tattooer says, listen, I need busy subject matter, koi fish with a lot of scales, birds of prey with a lot of feathers, whatever it may be, feel free to be like, cool, let me go and research that on my own, but also take into consideration that this person you've researched does know what they're talking about.
Right. You're there for reasons.
And they don't want you to have to get a cover up of a cover up, which is
A blob.
goddamn near possible. So it's sometimes it's this fine line we walk, you know what I
Right.
mean? Where it's like the customer's always right
But if
98% of the time.
if I take my car in to the mechanic and I'm like, fill the fucking engine with transmission fluid, I heard it's a good time. It's their job to tell me that's going to break the car.
Correct.
Okay. If I go in and I'm like, we should nitrous purge my transmission. And they're like, your car is a 99. It'll blow the fucking, whatever. Seals out. I'm making this all up. I don't even know if these things are possible. But you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's your ethical responsibility to be like, that's actually a really bad idea.
Well,
you don't have to be a dick about it, but like,
that goes to then if you're getting a good vibe from your tattooer,
right.
listen to them. If they're condescending and being assholes,
The
you
market's ripe with tattooers.
you've probably picked the wrong person to do the cover up. So it's this balance, you know which is,
Yeah.
I would say, if I have 10 cover ups that come in, 8 immediately get it. Two are definitely like, but I want theater masks right here, like in the middle of the cover up. And I'm just like,
Sorry.
theater masks can go somewhere. I don't feel they're going to go there. Well,
I don't think that's the appropriate.
because if we do a bird of prey, that's going to be right where his belly is. So
Are you fishing for a bird of prey? Do you want to do like a
dude, I'm telling you, birds of prey are my fucking favorite thing to cover up, to use for cover ups. They're fantastic. But yeah, so it's one of those odd things. So I would say
it's also hard to art is hard to translate in the first place. As someone that doesn't draw or understand why the cover up needs busy lines and doesn't understand that the natural flow of a piece will pull your eye away from where the old tattoo was. So even if there's a smidgen of it sticking out, you're not looking at it because you're looking at where the action is drawing your eye to.
yeah.
And as a people that don't get that also probably wouldn't understand how to visualize what you're saying.
Right. Well, and that's on the artist's shoulders.
Right.
You have a engineer. I mean, my wife is a chemist.
Right.
She is the most literal, non-artistic fucking person on the planet. Our conversations can easily get discombobulated in the most simple thing. And so as the artist, you need to understand this person doesn't have 15, 20 years of experience in this.
Right.
They're just a person.
Have patience.
And then the person on a small part, again, the client is predominantly always right. They need to also understand that they're dealing with an artist who's maybe not honed in communication skills, right?
Fair. That was the hardest
they're
part.
trying to get their point across as politely as possible, not necessarily intent of degradation.
Right.
Even
Not
though-
everyone's trying to be a dick, but they might not know the right words either.
Right. So it's
That was the hardest part about working the front desk. It was the bridge in communication between artist and client. Trying to convey that to someone else was always really, really tricky. And luckily, if you did it right, they understood that before they started that conversation with an artist.
right.
But that was literally the hardest part, was being like, well, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but I might as well start the conversation. Probably not gonna go down that way. And
It's difficult. These are some of the, so for anybody watching this who's an aspiring tattoo artist, it's not all waking up at 11, going into the shop at noon and
That's
whipping
fair.
out rad fucking artwork on fucking dope ass people. Like
That's fair.
that's 10% of your job. I mean, you have to be a master of communication because you're dealing with so many people from so many different facets of humanism, and everybody understands and comprehends conversations differently.
Yeah.
That, yeah, it can be, somebody can show you a pinup with an American flag, and as a tattooer, you're like, fuck yeah, pinup. And they're like, no, like the primary point is the American flag. Like I served in the army for 20
Oh
years.
yeah, flag. I
And,
meant flag.
and you're trying to, be like, all right, cool. We need to expand the size of the pinup from this picture you brought me. It's an awesome picture. But I mean, we're taking a human being from 6 foot tall down to fucking 4 inches. The bigger we can get her, the more detail we can get in. And they're just like, yeah, but where's the American flag going?
Right.
So there's always those conflicts
Oh,
from like collector to artist.
right.
And it's important, I think, for both people to understand that the other party is coming from a completely different viewpoint.
Well, and luckily now you're able to find somebody that is honed into what you like. There's so many specialists out there. There's so many people that do the exact tattoo style that you want, that it's worth taking the time, that if I want a patch tattoo, to find and look at a couple of people in your area that specialize in that style, and then pick the one you fucking like and go talk to them. Like if I were to come to you and offer you something that was crazy out of left field and not in your style, that's doing you a disservice as well as me. I would rather you be pumped and want to do exactly the things you're into right now,
Right.
as opposed to something way out of left field. I'm not going to be like, hey, come paint this landscape with me. That's not your bread and butter. That's not what you're trying to.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting topic that you just brought up. So because I do these patch tattoos, people think my astuteness to detail is impeccable. So you would not believe the amount of realism portrait requests
Yep.
I get now that I've become proficient and known for patches.
Yep.
Now, in my mind, I'm like, why the fuck would you pick me for a fucking portrait? And the first couple DMs I got on Instagram, I'm like, there's not one fucking portrait on my page.
Right.
Like if there's one thing I can't do, it's realism portraits, but they see the detail in the patchwork. So their brain's like, oh, this guy's going to knock this portrait out
Right.
fucking rock solid. So it's this weird dichotomy of like, we're both looking at my,
Clean work.
yeah, like one of my attributes, but our brains are going completely opposite
Right.
into what I'm good at. I would say since I've gotten good at patches, I have probably turned away, and no lie, 50 to 60 black and gray realism portraits in the
Jeez.
last 12 months. And they're always like, you know, and I'm like, hey man, like this isn't my style here. You know, if it's local, I'll give them a reference. If it's at for like a convention, I'll be like, man, dude, there's going to be so many black and gray portrait artists
Right.
at the Philly convention or Hell
Right.
City. Like, go onto their website, start looking at, you know, and they're like, oh, really? Like, all right, cool, thanks. But it's just that knowledge and lack of knowledge. And
Right.
it's
Right.
really strange that somehow I've gotten so many requests, and I get where it's coming from. Like the first 3 or 4, I'm like,
What?
I just ran an IG ad with 6 fucking patches, and I got 3 fucking portrait requests today.
People
That's
see,
weird.
you
But
said
then I
attention
started
to
thinking
detail.
about that, and I'm like, oh, they think I have this amazing attention to detail that crosses every art form.
Yep.
And it's like, I would love to, but dude, I'm just a schmuck who knows how to do this one fucking stuff.
I got real good at this.
Yeah.
No, and I understand that. It's people that are like, I'm in plumbing sales. So you're a plumber? No. No, I am not going to be the one to solder the pipe.
Yep.
I'm nope. I can tell you how they're gonna do it. I'm not the one to do it. So it's weird because people call me like, oh, how do I fix this problem? I'm like, I can tell you, but I don't know how to do it. Like, do you want me to tell you how to ring it up?
Yeah. Hire one of our dudes.
That's how you do it. It's funny.
Clean Rock One just posted recently, I'd say within the last couple weeks, because he's been on Ink Master and won twice.
Okay.
You know, so he's, and the dude's fucking one of my heroes. He fucking ruled. Like, the
Okay.
dude just kills it. But he had a really good post where he talked and he's like, hey man, just because I was on TV and I'm famous, you know, don't send me a photo of some fucking awesome portrait and be like, hey, I want to book with you with portraits. Like, look at my Instagram feed. Like, this is the shit I do.
Right.
Just because I was on TV and won Ink Master doesn't mean I'm amazing at everything. And portraits are not his gig. He's like, go to the person you peeled the photo off. Like,
Right.
and I thought that was profound because he obviously can command a high hourly rate.
Right.
So if you're willing to drop $2,000 to Clean Rock One, and you peeled off this portrait from XYZ superstar portrait tattooer,
Go.
you obviously have the money to burn. Go to that dude who you picked the portrait off. Just not go to Clean Rock One just because
Right.
you like his personality. That I thought it was cool that he was turning away money. He's like, I appreciate that you want me to do it, but like, look at what I'm really good at. And if you're into that, come to me.
Right.
But if you're peeling off an awesome piece of artwork and you got $2,000 to spend, go to that person,
Right.
man. Like, they're going to fucking kick its ass for you.
I've never understood that. Like, yeah, doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's just, it's whether you're in the business or not, you know?
And now, anytime somebody's like, well, where do you get your tattoos? And I'm like, well, what tattoo do you want? Because the tattoos that I'm getting right now, you might not like that style. And the stuff that I'm getting isn't the stuff that you're seeing. I'm getting painterly landscape shit, a lot of color contrast. What you're seeing is traditional American.
Right.
So you don't, if you like this style, you you don't want the person I'm going to right now. They don't do this style. So what tattoo do you want?
Right.
It's a way easier conversation. But then you're stuck talking to whomever about their tattoo ideas,
Right.
which we've all done, standing at the store, and they're like, so I want the dove to go right here, and then there's going to be a big heart underneath it, and then grandpappy's name and grandma's name, and then there's got 13 grandkids, so we're going to do like a bouquet of flowers with 13 flowers in it. They're all going to be different colors because we will do one for each of their grandmas, but if they got the same month, we'll just space them out. It'll be okay. And you're just like, yeah, I don't tattoo, but cool. I mean, but you get my point.
No, well, I can only imagine for the non-tattooer who's as heavily collected as you.
Yeah, it's hard.
That has to be even more hard. That you're like, dude, I just buy tattoos.
Yeah, I just show up to my homie and be like, "What are you into? Let's do that."
Yeah, I've done my research. So yeah, so for tattoo collectors out there, I would say, just because
find an
somebody
expert in the
is,
field.
yeah, find your expert in the field. Just because somebody is awesome at one thing, if you have a specific tattoo in mind, I would seek out and hunt, whether it's locally or nationally or
Right.
internationally. Find the person that you really want to do that tattoo, whose specialty is that actual genre, because
your expectations
all
are
of
gonna be
us
met.
have limitations on what we can do, which, as much as it sucks, it's just the way it is.
Right.
I would love to be
Well,
able
it's
to
just
do
like
portraits,
being a
but I
guitar
can't.
player, man. I play guitar, but if you're like, dude, bust some Satriani, I'm like, I don't fucking play that. I don't play classical flamenco. Do you want to hear GEAD campfire songs? I got you. But like, it's an art form. Everybody expresses it a little bit different. Everybody hones into a different area of it a little bit differently. Everybody looks to that art form for a different reason.
Right.
I play, but I'm not gonna play covers with you. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the same with your art. I'm not gonna ask you to art a way you don't art. That's gonna make you uncomfortable, and that defeats the motherfucking purpose in my mind. If you're forcing something and you're making something because you have to, and you're not enthralled with it, if you're up for the challenge and you're like, fuck yeah, thanks for the challenge. I've actually been looking at doing those things. I'm happy to tickle that for you. But at the same time, like, most artists aren't trying to change their speciality.
Right.
They're not going to just randomly start doing something out of left field.
And for the collector, I would say, ask those honest questions.
Right.
Like if you're kind of getting an inclination that maybe they're good at, be flat out explicit in your question. Like, are you comfortable with the style? Like, have you done this style before? You know, like, hey, Wes, your patches are fucking super high in detail. Like, I feel like you'd be good at portraits. Like, what do you feel about that?
Right.
And then I would be like, hey, man, thank you for the compliment. But those are two different, completely
Does not compute.
yeah, completely different techniques. But I can recommend you to somebody
Right.
who's going to knock this tattoo out. Like, where I would give you a B- tattoo, I can lock you into somebody who's going to be giving you an A. So kind of just food for thought, maybe for the collector who's not on the inside scoop like Ben and I are, you know.
In the world
Clarify
of
that
easy
question
to
with your-
find electronic portfolios, spend some time looking at some shit. You can look at any of your local studios online and go, hey, lineup of artists. Let me flip through 10 pictures of each of these artists. And you can pretty much get a gist of what their
Yep.
wheelhouse is, for lack of a word.
Yeah.
Not trying to be insulting in any way, shape, or form, but like,
And you can go in and fucking have a talk with
okay, then go in and talk.
them. If their vibe is fucking shitty,
Go to
then
number
find-
2.
go to number 2, go to number 3. Like, don't sacrifice if you're like, this dude was kind of a elitist douchebag or fucking didn't show up or whatever. Like, there's plenty of people at this point in time in tattooing that whatever style you want, there's a bad motherfucker
Right.
dying to tattoo you.
Right.
Like, end of story.
Fair.
Like,
Well, and my world's pretty small, and just because the guy that I know that does that doesn't mean there's not 5 other that do it just as well and maybe even better. So take my recommendation and start there.
right.
Like, art is subjective. What I think is rad is not what you might think is rad, is not what Kyle thinks is rad. You know what I mean?
That's I think you nailed it.
Like, find your shit. There's enough art for you to be able to find your shit.
Yeah.
It's why there's so many different kinds of music. It's why there's so many different genres of art. It's why there's so many different styles of fucking tattoos. So you can find what tickles your fancy.
Yep. Find yourself an artist who fucking you mesh with, personably with, whose portfolio relays what you want to get, and like go with that. Like you
And give them all your dollars repeatedly, back to back to back to back.
and tip them fucking well.
Bring bourbon and cash, and Wes is your guy.
Dude, it's gotten out of hand. I won't say out of hand because that sounds like I don't want
You have to tell people
continue
to stop
happen.
bringing liquor.
Dude, it started with, so bourbon's a big thing. So it's like talking to my clients, you know, bourbon this, bourbon that. Oh, what bourbon do you drink? And I think it started with one person bringing me a bottle of bourbon. And so of course I make a post about it, you know, like,
Yeah,
hey, thanks Benny T for fucking bringing whatever. And then I got it up on the shelf, and you know, the next client comes in and we're talking bourbon. It's like, hey, you know, it's up there for you. You want to sip? Oh yeah, fucking blah blah blah. And then they come back and they bring a bottle of bourbon. And then now it's like I've got this clientele that they're trying to outdo
The last bourbon
the
guy.
best bourbon that they've seen on the shelf.
You poor thing.
So I've got like 15 bottles of bourbon. So I took a shot of it and I showed my wife. And I'm like, look at this fucking bourbon collection I have up on the shelf at Body Language. She's like, that's like heavy hitting
Yeah.
bourbon collection. I'm like, I know, man.
And we drink it out of Dixie cups.
I know. And everybody's like bringing a new one in with a
love it.
story like,
I
oh, I
love
was in Utah. I thought of you.
See, and
So
that's
I
the
grabbed
best
this
kind of
Utah
that's the
fucking-
best kind of gift too.
Yeah.
I
it's fucking
randomly saw something that reminded me of you is the best present of all. I like that's
dope. It's
I don't care
rad.
what it is.
Yeah,
You spent
dude.
$3 and you reminded me of you. Fucking A, I'm in. Like,
So I've got like this amazing collection of fucking bourbon and tequila. And it was funny. Tony, who started working for us, I don't know, 6 months ago. And so and he hasn't worked in a street shop like ours. So he's like, hey man, I want you to rework this tattoo for me. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So it's coming up this day before. And he's like, what's it going to cost me? I'm like, dude, you're part of the team, man. Like, we tattoo each other for free. He's like, dude, I'm going to feel real guilty if like, I don't give you something. I'm like, bro, this is how this works.
that's how it works.
Like, you get tattooed for free. And he's like, ah. And so I can see he's kind of like,
It's not what he wanted.
yeah, it's making him uncomfortable. And so he's like, can I get you something? I'm like, you know what? You can get me something. I'm like, but it can't be money. I
Right.
don't want your
Fair.
money. Like,
Fair.
I get it. If you feel that this trade is uneven and you need to reciprocate, but it's not money. So I tattoo him. And so he breaks out a bottle of Hennessy. He brings in the Ohio liquor bag, you know. So I open up, it's a bottle of Hennessy. I'm like, my man.
All right.
So,
Oh, yeah, it is.
which was crazy because then that night we kind of celebrated. It was his day off. And so we celebrated and had some Hennessy. I hadn't had cognac for fucking 25 years.
Jeez.
A, Hennessy is smooth. as
Yeah, man.
It's like drinking water,
Water.
compared to bourbon.
Yep.
I mean,
It's air, man. It's air.
I was
That's
like,
why I can't drink it.
it's
It's like
dangerous.
drinking. It's like drinking amaretto. Next thing you know, you're like, rah, 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 rah.
Dude, it's
Every time.
it's
Every time.
dangerous.
I can't do it.
But yeah, no, I got people fucking bring me in. Oh, I was in Salt Lake City, thought about you, blah, blah, blah. So now
Fuck
I got
yeah.
like fucking 15, 20 bottles of like dope ass fucking bourbon and tequila and Hennessy fucking sitting up on the shelf for fucking people.
Love it.
Take a little nip.
Love it.
Yeah, it's fucking rad.
And that exact same scenario is how at one point in my life, every decoration in my home was an owl.
Okay.
Because, oh, you like owls? Well, here's some salt shakers. Here's a wall hanger. Here's a paper towel holder. Here's a fucking butter dish. Did you need a teacup set with owls on it? Oh, did you not have a tablecloth? Did you need a candelabra? Did you need a door knocker? Wait, did you not have any candles?
What
that were
was
owl
the
themed?
first owl that started this?
A macrame 70s owl on the wall
Okay.
that grandma had made.
And it was there. Why? Because grandma made it.
Word.
So just random macrame owl.
And I mean, I'm talking about him, Max.
Right.
So like
But
she
then
also had
you
an owl.
became
She
the
had an
owl dude.
she became the house became decorated through this process. She had an owl tattoo, and we had the owl on the wall, and that was the collation. And every single one of her friends, every single person for every fucking holiday, and every pajamas, pillowcase covers, fucking dude, every single thing that was purchased. Oh, I saw an owl. I saw an owl. And then it was like super trendy. So everything was fucking owls. Dude, the entire fucking house. You can't just throw the shit away. I started just throwing the shit away. There's still owl. She hasn't lived there and it was 2 years. And there's still owl shit there. Like, still. I was still like, the fuck do I have owl fucking pot holders for? Like,
So
Same gig.
this is early 70s. I am 8 to 10 years old. And I think both these things happen simultaneously. My aunt is part of a marketing firm. And they go and do a photo shoot of a hog farm. So she becomes the pig lady.
yep.
To this day,
Probably fucking hates it.
40 years later, I found this pig water fucking pour. I found these pig plates. I found these pig candle holders. Around the same time, my dad, I don't know what it was for, but I think it had to be golf related. He got these frog golf pants. He wore them. He's the frog
stuck.
guy.
They stuck. Yeah.
Frog napkins, frog pot holders,
Everything.
frog XYZ.
Yep.
And before you know it, my dad is littered with frog memorabilia
If he wants to or not.
that he
Do
could,
you think how these crazy collectors just get all that shit? Like, oh, you like Coca-Cola stuff? And now everybody you know just buys you that Coca-Cola shit?
it has to be.
Okay. I like diamond watches, Porsches.
And the camera is perfect right now, Kyle, because I am going to go
See,
restroom break.
he's gotten 2 tinkle times, and I'm over here doing the dance.
Dude, you're a beast.
Yeah, I comes to driving for a living for so long. Just kind of learn how to stuff it. Hey, Fawn, you still on? Where you at?
Fawn is not on the call currently, but she said she was listening, so she might. be
It's
here soon.
okay. So, Kyle, what's your current painting? What are you working on?
My current painting is a little 8x8 skull here. Why don't I grab it?
No, I want you to describe it with your fucking
Oh,
words,
describe
Kyle.
it? Okay. It's a skull on
Skull.
a skull, like a
Like a
massive
can of dip?
skull. Yeah. on a hellish mountain ridge, and then you've got this like crack on the bottom with some lava on the inside, so it's kind of shining up on all the rocks.
Low light source action.
Yeah. And
All
then
right.
there's also chains going into the
Next
skull.
week, I want to see it.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be like done. I'm just like next week I want to see.
I mean,
it.
I can grab it right now.
No, Kyle. Next
Okay.
week.
All right. Keep
We're
it vague.
building anticipation.
Okay. Well, you got to tune in next week to see what my painting looks like then.
10-man live. That's fun. How's the frog coming? Has he almost wrapped it up?
Yeah, we're coming up on the final stages of it right now. It's been pretty cold out here, so it hasn't fully dried yet. We're kind of waiting for it to dry up a bit, and then gonna go in and just kind of dry brush some whites and some blacks to make a couple spots pop, make a couple fall back.
Righteous. I don't know what any of those words you just said mean, but like I'm proud of you.
I'm learning them.
Good job, Bobby.
It's been a great experience painting out here
Good
in the
job.
morning. Yeah.
I've taken back up trying to draw and bought a thing of tracing paper and I'm fucking slaying it. I need to get a couple books to kind of like work on like flow and like how to like, I don't know. I want to get a couple things to help, but I haven't tried to draw in a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And to say I ever had chops would be like a fucking stretch, but like the little chops that I had are way gone. And it's fun to try to like get back into consistent motion and line weight and just thinking about little shit that I haven't thought about. And
If you don't use
10
it,
years.
you lose it. I've been picking up guitar again recently.
yeah,
I'm like 3-4 days in, but trying to take a little more time for myself. And it's like trying to remember all the techniques and relearning everything is definitely a process.
Kyle, I'm a horrible guitar player. If you want to come over and play,
Cool. I can do some chugs.
I can do some chugs.
Yeah.
Chug-tastic. All right, now it's time for Wes to banter by himself for a moment while I visit Tingletown.
Kyle, what are we talking about?
We were talking about skills that you lose if you don't
use them.
Oh, there's a lot.
Well, see, I just started trying to draw again
Okay.
and suck at it.
Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned that, gentlemen. I recently came over a quote that said, if you ever want to play Carnegie Hall, you have to practice. So for anybody, including excellent tattooers, but more than likely the excellent tattooers already have this in their wheelhouse, is drawing flash, drawing designs, drawing. I think I kind of mentioned earlier, all these newcomers into the tattoo industry. I mean, as somebody who's been around tattooing since 97, I mentioned my goal is to stay relevant. It's because these badasses are fucking coming up constantly. And the moment you take a breath and think you're fucking satisfactory, awesome, whatever the term may be, you're not.
It's really funny you say that, because I've been recently coming out of a funk over the past like week of like you reach a point where you're like, you think you know everything, and then life kicks you up again and you realize you know nothing.
Yep.
And for a while I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing okay. And then I just kind of had that realization where it's like, actually could be doing better,
Yep.
So it's funny you say that.
It's 100%. I mean, let's even take let's take my patch tattoos, which I won't be overly humble. I think I'm very good at. But there are 3 to 5 people who I watch internationally on Instagram who fucking kick my ass on this. And
Right.
It's like, motherfucker, man, like, how do I get to that level? It's so difficult. You're talking about, you got this huge pyramid, and at the bottom of the pyramid are, for whatever you're doing, they suck and to the top of the pyramid are the best.
Mhm.
But I feel like once you get to the top 10% of that pyramid, there's a whole nother pyramid.
The pyramid within the pyramid. Yes.
And now you have the top 10% of the pyramid. And you have to be honest with yourself on where you sit in that pyramid.
We've had that. I've had that discussion before. It's okay. So in a sport or we were talking about music earlier. I'll use that as an example. Most people that go out and buy the $3,500 guitar don't understand the nuances of why they need the $3,500 guitar. They're going
Right.
to play it just like the $600 one from, and they're going to destroy it. Right. So if you don't know why you're buying the $1,200 pool cue, if you don't understand why you're spending the $3,500 on the bicycle seat, you don't understand the science behind it, the reason behind it, the logic behind it. You're it's pointless. People 1 year into tattooing buying, $1,200 machines.
Yeah, no, dude.
You don't understand what the finance of that. You have to climb the pyramid to see the top scale to understand why you need that shit.
No, there's a level of being humble, and I don't even know if it's being humble, because that almost sounds arrogant. Like, oh man, I'm trying to be humble. It's a matter of being aware.
That's fair.
Like, there's very few of us who do patch tattoos on a consistent basis internationally. And like locally, it's awesome to get the accolades of like, dude, you're killing it, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But in my head, and this isn't humble, it's literally from watching the others that are better than me. I'm like, thank you. But artistically, I'm like, I'm still fucking 5th out of the top 5. Like,
Well,
motherfucker, like,
when
it's
I've said this
draw every day,
right.
create every day, fucking practice every fucking day. Like, even my wife's like, it's Sunday. Like, you're talking about, whatever, like maybe I'm feeling burned out, and I express that to her. And she's like, you just said fucking Thursday night that you're feeling burned out. Why are you fucking drawing on Sunday? I'm like, because I'm 5th out of 5. Like,
Yep.
cool, there's fucking 2,000 behind me on whatever it may
Yeah.
be. That's not the point. Like, I made it to the top of
But
the
nobody else
pyramid,
sees
and
that
now
in the
I'm at the
pyramid.
bottom of the new pyramid.
But nobody else sees that pyramid.
Right.
They're not educated enough to see the finite differences in that other scale.
Sure. But
So
if
not
you're
saying
being
that
self-aware,
right.
you understand that you're like,
Absolutely.
I'm still fucking last. Like, I'm not as good. That it's like, again, just it's the greats. Dude, I would, and maybe Kyle can bring something to this, because I don't know.
Bring
Guy.
it to us, Kyle.
I don't know Guy Atchison. But he seems like a normal fucking human being.
He is. Yes.
Basically the inventor of organic biomech. If I had to guess, he still questions his place currently, with as many badass artists as there are, of where he sits on the echelon of biomech.
Right.
Because you don't do this for him. What, it's probably 30 years now.
Right.
Mhm.
You don't do this and produce that fucking awesomeness
By not
with,
chasing.
in the last 10 years going, I invented the shit. I'm a bad motherfucker.
Right.
Like, he has to have some level of insecurity of, that tattoo I did yesterday
Can be better.
could have been better. In
Yep.
reflection, looking at the tattoo, had I added a darker tone here, had I added a highlight here, had I added line weight here, it could be better. That
but you need to build that experience to see that gap.
Right. But I just,
Yeah, right.
and I don't even know how we got on this conversation, but it's just,
We're talking about
it-
use the skills or lose them, man.
it's this never ending fucking circle of, it's like, I'm going to work. Fuck yes. 2 seconds later, I suck. Work.
Yeah.
Work. I'm better. God damn it, I still suck. Work.
I've talked to black belts in jiu-jitsu, right? And they're like, it's all fine and dandy. You bust your ass, you get here, and then you get here, and you're like, I don't know anything. Wait, I understand all the principles now. Now I have to apply them as a theory. Fuck. It's a whole nother, but you have to learn the steps. You have to
Right.
build the blocks. You have to go through the learning pains of not adding the correct highlight or not making it as dark as it could have been or whatever the circumstances is. I can't draw stick figures, so I'm out of my lane, but
Right.
you get
but
my
no,
drift.
the jujitsu's it's
It's the same concept.
you have to,
You have to climb to the top to see that there's more.
yeah, and there's nothing else left. Like if you don't practice, you fucking suck
Yep.
at anything you do, I would imagine.
My problem is I always get to a point at something, no matter what that hobby is, where I see the work that requires to get to the next level or see the end game. And I'm always like, nah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very self-aware of the fact that I'm like, I'm not that dedicated.
Well,
And it's hard for me to get over that mediocre hump on everything. Like, I've played guitar since I was 10. I can only play
That's
like 5 songs.
I hit that same thing on guitar too. It was like
I just get to the point where I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't fun. I don't want to put in the work required to get, I'm not dedicated enough to have the drive enough to stay focused to like this enough to keep doing it this much.
it's super taxing. And it does apply to everything.
Right.
Like triathlon. So eventually cycling became like my strongest suit. But it's like work. Now all of a sudden I'm riding with the A groups out of like this elite club. And there's this rivet group. Work. Now I'm in the rivet group. But I'm bottom of the rivet. You know, it's
Right.
10 years. It's like, cool. I made my way to the rivet group, but now I'm the weakest rivet group
Right.
person. And it just,
There's always someone better,
right.
no matter how good you are.
So
And that's how I see it. Like, I played semi-professional pool for what? 10 years?
yeah,
Plus. I mean, went back after 10 years, played for another couple years. And I'm decent. But then you see people that are good. You know what I mean? You're like, oh shit. Oh, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I don't understand the science applied to what you just did. I didn't see that shot on the table. I didn't even know that was fucking possible.
yep.
Fuck this. I'm done. I thought I was good at guitar. And then you watch Joe Satriani play, and you're like, man, I don't fucking like this instrument.
Yep.
Like, fuck every second of this. Like, you guys do it. I'll just watch. It's fine. I'll just be a
you got
fan.
Polyphia now too, giving you that same feeling.
No, fuck it all, man.
Well, even again, so
Or
we've
it's a
got
12-year-old kid.
Oh,
You're just
dude.
like, suck it.
We've got again this newer guy at the studio, and he really is drawn to black and gray. And he's like, Wes, like, why don't you consider yourself a black and gray artist? And I'm like, well, I can do black and gray in a bunch of different mediums, where it's stipple shade or whip shade or gray wash. I'm like, and I'm proficient at it, but there's only so much bandwidth I can put into something
Right.
and try to be like really fucking good at it. Like, which then blows my mind of then you find these tattooers who
Can do.
I can do a portrait, I can do traditional, I can do neo-traditional, and I can do biomech. And all of it's going to be like, and I don't say this degrading, all of this is going to be at least at an A- fucking value,
Right.
which an A- is fucking awesome.
Right.
Like those dudes blow my mind that are hyper versatile and are still in the A category for fucking everything.
Right.
Because I work my
I don't have the capacity for that.
dude, I'll get up at fucking 6 a.m, chill out for an hour. Wife comes down, hey, what's going on? I'm like, oh, I got 3 fucking high value fucking tattoos today. I'm fucking working color studies. Getting a workout in. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking go down and deadlift, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, it's 10:45.
Yeah.
And I'm cutting some of my color studies short, not so I can go and work out. It's because I have to leave for work at 11:10.
Right.
And it's just like, how the fuck do some of these tattooers have this capability to be so versatile on so many ends? And I would imagine for the people who are hyper focused, like I only do biomech or I only do black and gray portraits, that those guys and gals are in the same boat.
Right.
They're on their fucking like, you don't get great by just fucking off.
Right.
Like they're up at 6.
They're
They're fucking drawing by 7. They're working color studies. They're working tone studies.
There's the
So
few,
when they go in and do the tattoo and execute it effortlessly, it seems like they're fucking wizards, but you don't see
the background.
You don't see the fucking non-magic magic that's happening.
The 14
behind the
layers
curtain.
that have been erased on the iPad.
Yeah, exactly. Like
The 13 times they drew it at home before they liked the layout.
exactly.
Yeah. I can't imagine. Like again, I've never had the fortitude to get good at anything. So I've never seen the end game in it. I'm always like, yeah, I'm cool right here.
Yeah, I mean, there is rarely a tattoo that I do at 4 p.m. and I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, let's take that taco tattoo.
Right.
I did the line drawing. I did a couple color studies, executed it, and like took the photo. And I was, in my head, I was like, fuck yeah, man. Like, nailed this motherfucker. I wasn't home for 20 minutes looking at that tattoo going, motherfucker.
I could have.
Why didn't you do A, B,
Yeah.
or C, or D? And it's minor shit. And you're just like, oh, I wish I could take this fucking back because I left thinking it was an A.
Yep.
And the first 5 minutes of analyzing it, it's now an A-, and then it goes down to a B+.
Shit, bro. I do that while I make dinner.
Right.
Okay. So I will write like, this is what we're having. I've got this main, this side, this sauce, this entree, this app. This is what we're doing. Forgot the sauce on the stove. It's literally cooking while we're halfway into the meal. And I'm like, oh shit, this is supposed to have, oh, I made gravy. Oh, fuck. Or, completely forget one of the dishes. I've done that a million times. You go to make dinner and I'm like, okay, I'm making Cornish hens and mashed potatoes and sweet carrots and, a salad. You get done, there's no carrots. And you get to the table and you're like, wait, no, I just never did it. The
Side note, when you did cater the triathlon,
Oh, shit. That was forever ago.
dude, I'm telling you, people still talk about it.
We threw the fuck down, bro.
No joke. People
Like-
were like, bro, that first 2 camps you threw, fuck you. That I felt like a fucking rock star.
We should
man.
redo them, man. Those were a blast.
Like people were
You need
like
to raise the
bro,
price enough to cover me a cabin, though. That's all I'm saying.
coming home to fucking salmon
Oh,
at
bro.
fucking lunch.
We threw down.
So for listeners, so you're not
Yeah, sorry.
in the middle
Catch them all
of
up.
in the middle of a fucking inside story. My profession was for a while, I still do it part-time, was a triathlon coach.
So
And so-
triathlon is a grueling fucking race of how many miles?
Well, it depends on the triathlon, but it is always swim, bike, run.
Okay.
We have 4 different distances. You have your sprint triathlon, which is half-mile swim,
That's a
something like
sprint, half a mile swim. That's a day workout. That's like a week and a half workout for me.
12 to 15 mile bike ride and a 5K. You've got your Olympic, which is a 1 mile swim, 25 mile bike ride, 10K run. You got your half
Pukes getting out of the pool.
half Ironman, 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike ride, half marathon,
56 mile.
And
And
then
what's a
you have-
half marathon?
and 13.1 miles.
Fuck off. Running?
Yeah.
No.
Not on a moped.
Guns involved. 13 miles.
Then you've got your
Fucking
Ironman,
13 miles.
2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride,
Jesus Christ.
followed by a marathon, 26.2 miles. But anyways,
Wait, that's what the little stickers on the back of people's car mean?
yes,
Motherfucker. I've always wondered.
140.6 miles is an Ironman. So you see an Ironman sticker, that means somebody raced 140.6 miles.
Bruh.
In,
Okay. So
in
super athletes.
under 17 hours, because there is a cutoff. They usually start at 7 a.m. and you have till midnight. You show up at midnight in 1 second. Try again next time.
Fuck off. I would cheat, bro.
So
Cheat so
I would run triathlon camps at this awesome place down in Shawnee State Park.
I still backpack there all the time.
Dude, it's fucking
Yeah, I
awesome.
love it.
It's gorgeous. Down in southern Ohio, just southwest of Portsmouth. And so the first one I did, we had 3 I think I had like 20 people sign up for it.
It was a crowd.
They were fucking pumped. But had Benny T as the chef du jour. This motherfucker, man, chocolate chip pancakes for breakfast and bacon.
we did candy
fucking
bacon because they
salmon and pasta
wanted
salad for
calories.
lunch. I mean, so we're out there fucking just
Was that the year we
burning
made the
calories.
squash soup?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was so good.
dude. Yeah, you guys killed it. Like people still talk about this because then afterwards I was doing camps without you guys
Right.
and they were fun.
They were okay, is what it is.
Booze, fucking
Well, we went to the booze one.
you got the fire going or whatever, but the first 2 when you guys when you and Eric fucking catered it,
Right.
they were like, dude, I felt like a fucking rock star.
It was
Like
a lot
rolling
of
in from a fucking 100-mile bike ride, and it's like Benny T and fucking Eric are like, we've got pesto chicken, fucking pita wraps.
We did too.
fucking-"
Those were good. The thing was, you guys left and we consumed marijuana. I didn't realize that's big munchies, bro. No, we love doing stuff like that. And Eric's my partner in crime for anything I've ever done with food. Like
I love that dude.
I've never done a catering event without him.
He's
like,
awesome.
like never.
So no
Like
one
hot
will
dog
know,
stand, Eric stood there next to me. Like I've never done an event without him.
no one will know this. But is Sean and his wife still on his property?
Yes. We'll run that later.
Is this 9 years?
Yeah.
10 years?
Yeah. Oh shit, that is yeah, that's funny. Yep.
It's got to be a decade. Or
I think they're going on 6 or 7.
okay. That's close to a decade.
That's long enough. It's more than one.
right.
It's more than one. That's funny. And you know what's funny? Okay, so the people he's talking about used to own a business or run a business next door to Body Language, right? And they now live with one of my best friends, which is super crazy, wild happenstance of worlds crossing years fucking later. And I get to give Wes updates about these people late in the game. He, to this day, at one point, Wes had offered to give him a Body Language back tattoo to go across his shoulders that said Body Language. And he still, to this day, talks about it.
Oh,
I'm gonna get me that body like you're not getting shit. Shut up.
so
Tell me he reached out.
okay, so this is the deal. This has got to be 2001. Sean comes in, we're talking. He needs something covered up on his back. I'm like, I tell you what, dude. If you get body language across your shoulders, I'll cover up the rest of your back piece for $60 an hour. He's like, we're on. We were never on.
That's not 1 point. Were we
Mind
on?
you,
He worked next door.
this is 2001.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 2015, he comes rolling into the shop. He's like, hey man, how you doing? I'm like, what's up, dude? We're talking. He's like, remember when you said if I got body language tattooed across my shoulder blades, you do my back piece for free? I was like, no.
As a matter of fact,
I don't remember that at all. I was like, I remember I told you I would do the back piece at $60 an hour. He's like, all right, cool. I can afford that. I'm like, that was 15 years ago. I don't own the shop anymore. That deal is off the table. I'm like, but what I will give you is I'll do your back piece for $150 an hour, a
Which is still a
discount from my
great rate.
$200 an hour rate at that time. How you trying to treat me like that? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, it's been 15 fucking years and I don't own body language anymore.
I don't care if you walk around with my advertisement on your
There
back
is
anymore.
no
I don't care, but
to me
right.
for you to have body language across your shoulders because
At 70.
I don't own it.
Well, not even that. Okay.
And
You used to
as
be,
now I know, you don't know anybody. No one's gonna see
Well,
it.
he used to be very fit, very in shape, used to work
Yes.
out, go to a gym. Be a nice advertisement. Very cut, dude.
Yeah, out in the public.
Now he's not
Right. You're living on a farm on Eric's land
out in the woods.
that no one's
Behind the
gonna
barn,
see.
really.
Like this.
No one's seeing my advertisements.
Yeah, this is
The
a
value is gone.
yeah.
Let's say the value is gone. Oh man. Wow. We just took a bunch of people down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. And everybody's like, I don't get it.
Sorry, guys. They're crazy and it makes us laugh.
Yep.
Welcome to hanging out with Ben and Wes.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of, man, I am feeling it. I don't know if I told you, but I got in a pretty major car accident a
Yeah.
while back, and my back from sitting here is reaching its end points. So
I can only imagine.
yeah, I'm good till I'm not good type of situation.
Right.
And it's one of those, if I don't get ahead of it when I start feeling tight, I'm gonna be fucked tomorrow, and I'm not in for that. I just started feeling good.
All right.
So I don't know if we should. That's not who I expected it to be. Check in with Fawn and see if she was still listening. If we needed to do anything with the convention wrap up, or if she's off the table. I have a feeling that she's moved on to bigger, badder, and better things at the
It is the Detroit Motor City.
Detroit
Tattoo
Motor
Convention.
City. It should be a huge show, and I'm really looking forward to being able to do the recap. And it sounds like next week we're gonna have a pretty rad fucking show of recapping over all the past few conventions that we've been to and able to share that with you guys. So if you want to tune in next week to catch something sweet, we'll be here. Wes, dude, fucking love you. Love having you here.
Pleasure.
Appreciate you.
Where
Love-
can the people find you, Wes?
Yeah, if people want to find you.
They can find me at catsbywest.com.
Easy enough.
Very easy.
Or at Body Language. Just call them
Or
Wes.
at Body Language here in Columbus, Ohio.
Hit local.
But-
Kyle, do you want to say stuff?
You can find me on Instagram, Skies of Fire Tattoo, if you want to see the painting that I'm working on before next week.
Ooh, sneaky link. All right. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out.